flames, awaken the power held inside of me, harness resilience through the pain. I'm a warrior.
Self-bio, sleep on checkmate. Are you kidding? Margaret to the rescue. The blade comes out and he shuts it all down in one fell swoop. Absolutely stomping. Oh, what is that? I haven't even got to the bridge. Backbone.
Warrior, I'm a hurricane like Gloria. I won't fail my times now. Rise of glory won't back down. I take the pain and I let it out. On the mountaintop, shout it out. Break away, let me demonstrate my mentality. Activate. Oh,
Rampage through the side room. Everybody, massive for Bernard. Catches everybody else.
I'm a warrior.
Gonna look to make it happen. And there it is. Proper. Cannot be stopped.
On the mountaintop, shout it out. Break away, let me demonstrate my mentality. Activate.
The Summer Showdown's in full swing, and we're here with day number 2 of the Eastern region. My name is Trid. I'm joined by Avril to bring you 2 first of 3 matches here to decide who is going home and sending one team over to the grand finals tomorrow.
Get to the business side now. We've kind of been in the business side for some time now. It's been 4 of our top teams here in the tournament stage now. The Summer Showdown, our 3rd tournament of the entire year, and our final one actually before playoffs. So this is the final opportunity for our teams to kind of get a title in before we actually go to what is going to be the end of the entire season upcoming. So for teams like Fusion that missed out a little bit earlier in Kickoff Clash, Shanghai as well that haven't had a title yet so far, everything is still online to play for. Seoul, their 2nd title. Guangzhou, this is their 1st tournament showing in what has been 2 years, so they're in the running as well.
Let's get you up to speed with the state of the tournament so far. Like I said, we've already had a day of action. Let's pull up that bracket and see how things stand. Shanghai Dragons and Seoul Dynasty, that's going to be our 2nd game of the day, Avril, and they're all positioned in that effectively upper bracket final, if you will. And then when we look in the losers bracket, the Charge are going up against the Fusion after losing their matches yesterday to the aforementioned teams. That's going to be our first matchup of the day. One team's going home, one team is going to get a second chance in the tournament.
Absolutely, and I think, in some ways, the bracket has gone exactly the way you would expect. The top 2 seeds, number 1 and 2, between Dragons and Dynasty, have moved through to the upper bracket final. Dynasty, though, not without a bit of turmoil in their particular game. Guangzhou, though, couldn't quite touch up on the Dragons, and now they'll be facing the Philadelphia Fusion in that lower bracket. Loser goes home, winner moves forward to the next loser bracket game, the losers bracket final, and the winner of that will end up going towards the grand final. The Philadelphia Fusion, their roster up first. Saw this team in action yesterday after, what was a pretty poor start, going 0-2 down versus Seoul. They made a pretty strong comeback. I mean, they kind of got this reverse sweep dream going. 3rd map, 4th map, both going their way, forcing a tiebreaker map number 5. But some cases, kind of, I don't know if you would say it's expected for the Fusion, but it seems like the map 5 horrors strike again for them.
Yeah, 5-map Philly. They're always out here struggling on the map 5, but let's take a look at the roster for today. MN3, Zest, Fury, Aim God, and Fixer. This has been kind of like the roster we've seen towards the latter end of the Summer Showdown. MN3 has now become effectively the starter, I believe, after last week, when they stopped running Carpe as the starting lineup. Doesn't mean Carpe is necessarily out of the lineup altogether, for now anyway, but MN3 has been a starter, and I think Fusion have had a couple more of those. I think Fusion has looked like they could win more games with this starting lineup, particularly. Keeping MN3 in seems to have at least leveled the team up slightly.
A few daggers in the, for now anyway, I heard there. I don't know, I'm not going to read too far into it, Trid, I'm sure. I'm sure it is what it is. No, we'll see. And this has been an interesting stage so far for Philly Fusion, because, we're talking about map 5s here. They've been to 3 map 5s in their last 4 matches. Guangzhou, Seoul, Hangzhou, then Seoul again. Of those 3 map 5s, they've lost all 3 of them. The last time they went to a map 5, and actually they go to a map 5s quite a lot, look at their history, it was versus Valiant in the regular season, week 16 here. Now, they did beat the Valiant, but since then, it's been a bit of a loss streak. Then they beat Hangzhou. Those are the only 2 wins they had over the course of the entire qualifier, right? They kind of squeezed in on a 2-4 record. They needed a 3-1 or a 3-0 versus Hangzhou. They got that scoreline. They're here in the tournament, but it's one of those situations where they get so painstakingly close 2 times now to beating their adversaries in Seoul, but just kind of falling short. If they want to win this tournament, if Philly finally want to lift a trophy and be an organization that after 5 years gets that podium win, that number 1 spot victory, they got to beat teams like the Seoul Dynasty. But for now, they got to get past the Guangzhou Charge first.
I love that you brought up their map 5 record, Avril, because the last time these two teams faced off in week number 3 did go to 5 games. Charge ended up beating Philadelphia Fusion, so they are basically replaying one of their 5 map losses that have happened earlier on this stage. Let's take a look at the Charge roster, though. Jimmy, Choice A1, Krong, Xerneas, Farway. Charge 9 yesterday, apparently, Avril. Very anticlimactic enter Midtown in that 3-0 defeat to Shanghai Dragons. It does happen. It always still does manage to surprise me when it does, though.
And it was probably one of the more egregious ones because, you know, you see in the replays, and I believe Jimmy and Choi, they just literally both step off. And it could be one of those situations as well where you they're both looking at each other. It was like, wait, whose job was it to stay on? I thought you were staying on. And the other was, oh, no, I thought you were staying on, and they just both walked off, right? So, yeah, very anticlimactic. Who knows what would have happened there? I don't know that they would have won that map. We're talking about Midtown versus Shanghai here. I don't think they would have won necessarily, but you kind of rob yourself of a good opportunity. We did see how close that Circuit Royale was, but again, no dice for the Guangzhou Charge. Now, you did mention the previous matchup versus Philly. I want to dig a little bit deeper into that because not only was it map 5 shred, it's actually a reverse sweep from Charge. We've actually now also seen Philly nearly get a reverse sweep versus Seoul, but Charge actually got a reverse sweep versus Philly, and that's something to remember.
That's even more heart-wrenching, isn't it? You get the 2-0 advantage, 3 maps in a row, bing, bang, bong. You're out of the match already. So, just waiting for the I believe Krong was actually sat down actually. Waiting for the Charge to just fill up the lobby, and then we'll get into the game number 1. A little bit different from previously. We don't have set map types anymore because we're going into the tournament stage, so there's a little bit more variance, I believe, here, Avril. Still not sure what map we're going to be starting on today, but it is going to be a control.
I think this is important for Fusion because, as we saw in the previous series, and something I've noted on quite a decent amount, is they do have particularly strong maps. We'll just talk about those for now. Circuit Royale plus New Queen Street, I think, are the strongest maps for the Philadelphia Fusion, have been for the majority of the entire year. No matter what meta we seem to be in, those two end up always being the strongest maps for Philly Fusion. And Seoul Dynasty, they actually picked New Queen Street versus Philly, and that ended up being a bit of a mistake. And that's something that Hirix and I talked about yesterday, where it's just like, Seoul had the opportunity to go to Colosseo, where they actually beat the Fusion on. They didn't do that. Let's go to New Queen Street, where, if we remember a few matches past now in mid-season, man, it's the final week qualifiers when Fusion actually beat Seoul. And Queen Street was one of those linchpin maps that Philly really dominated Seoul on. So that, to me, is still a little bit of an iffy situation coming through from Toby, the head coach. But hey, Seoul still won map number 5. Basically, what I'm trying to get at, though, is in that reverse sweep run-through for Philly Fusion, those two maps between Circuit and New Queen Street really allowed the Fusion to bring us to a map 5.
So map choice is going to be a big one to pay attention to throughout this series, then seeing if they can pick their preferential maps and get themselves back into it. Maybe we're still doing the loser of the previous map gets to pick the following one, so it does mean that if they drop maps, they have a chance to bounce back quickly, kill any momentum that runs forward into the series. So hopefully it should keep it quite competitive here. I would not want to see either team go out to a 3-0 today. And honestly, looking at Charge versus Fusion, I don't think these are teams that could 3-0 each other at present, is just my assessment of things.
I mean, they went to 5 previously. I think they have the capability to do that again. I also think that if we do go to Circuit, and there's a very high chance we do, it's going to be super competitive because Charge also showed that yesterday versus the Dragons, it was a very strong map for them. They nearly took down the Dragons on that map, and that would have been, by the way, the second only map loss for the Dragons this entire tournament stage. Right, Dragons are otherwise flawless. They have currently the best match record and map record of any team, including versus Seoul as well. It's something like 19-1 now. No, it's actually more than that. I think it was, it's, I'll figure it out, but it's a lot. They've only dropped one single map so far. I don't know why I'm blanking on this. Yeah, 6 times 3, 21 or something. I don't know. 21 and
6
1.
times 3 is 18, but
yeah, so it's 21-1.
Amazing. So, but they are undefeated, as you said, via matches, Shanghai Dragons, so they haven't had the streak ended. That sets us up nicely for the next match, however, because I have a feeling they're going to have that's going to come up quite a bit. Players are all in the lobby. They are just about ready, and we're going to get into map number 1. I believe I had someone whisper in my ear from production tell me that the first map of this series is going to be Lijiang Tower. We'll get that confirmed on your screens in just a second, and there it is, Lijiang Tower, coming up shortly.
Righto. And I don't know if this really necessarily favors anybody. We're in the sort of now meta in Stage 3 in some Showdown where map choice generally doesn't matter as much as it did in the mid-season madness, but for a team like Philly, you know, as I said, escort, get towards a push, might be a little bit of preference there. For Guangzhou, they kind of won and lost everywhere already. A great matchup I think we need to focus on here. It's a couple ones actually. It's definitely in the DPS line. I think there's no real surprises there. Jimmy has been a very important member of the Charge so far in their campaign through this third stage, and also the return of Jimmy into the Overwatch League, right? He's kind of led the team via that Sojourn quite comfortably. He even had a great match and showing versus Lip yesterday. No, Lip still mostly had the better of Jimmy, but then you got the circuit. Jimmy started to show his chops again, kind of put Lip to the ground a couple of times. That's going to be important. He needs to do that versus MN3, who also currently looks to be on fire on the Sojourn.
Pay attention to the damage lineup when they come through. They are running mirror compositions so far on Night Market, although we don't really see much variation here. It's sometimes see the odd Pharah come out when it comes around to Gardens. Here they are on the rollout.
Yeah, maybe Choi will go towards the fire, but I think both teams are getting very comfortable just playing stand and normal compositions. Here play the Genjis, and that's got a matchup as well. Zest versus Choi. It's been a very interesting one. Choi's been so good so far in this meta. Prong taking a bit of early damage here.
Yeah, they're on the hunt for Choice A1, isolated by the rest of the team. It's just an easy pick up there with the railgun. MN3, 2 taps, 2 kills. Just needs to find another one. That's deal done. Fusion taking the first cap.
Yep, Choi going down, Krong and the rest to follow from the Charge, and nobody died at all from the Philly Fusion. So 5 alive here as we push on forward. Ultimate's starting to get ahead as well, very importantly for the Fusion. Farway does keep up with his counterparts and is actually ahead of AimGod by a reasonable margin, so that will be something that Charge can use when push comes to shove, but Fusion with an early cap, they'll be comfortable for now.
They'll hold the line here, Hangzhou Charge. Oh, what a shot onto Choi.
Yep,
Second time in a row they've gone down early.
So we got to see out of him in 3. That's why this guy is really hot on the trigger finger so far. Jimmy caught on the side there, no way to exit. It's going to be a late death as well, that really hurts the Charge.
Just going to burn more of the time, or the effective. Oh my god, MN3 is on a mad one today.
Yeah, keeps on going.
But no, it's going to just burn more and more of the time. Like you said, these late picks are just climbing the percentage of the map. Charge want to go as a cohesive unit, and they can't do that if members keep getting picked off by MN3 on the entry. They're so close to the overclock as well now, Avril, that this could be a lethal approach for them.
It's nearly double the ult charge of Jimmy, which, as you said, is going to be pretty lethal because we're heading into what is finally, you know, I would technically say this is about to be the second fight, because even though we've had like 3 kills in a row, those weren't really fights, just kind of short skirmishes across the map, 3 picks that kind of put the Guangzhou Charge behind. Now Philly Fusion should be the overclock coming through, but Zuni's just killed him in 3.
I don't know how MN3 is that far forward. He's basically leading the charge for his team there, puts him in such a vulnerable state. And now they've opened it up. They did manage to trade away Krong for this one, though. So the Sojourn for the Junker Queen. They're holding the line still. Fury's just able to lock down the point, and we're pushing into final fight territory now. Zest is over in the spawn room, cutting off the respawns from Charge.
And Charge don't have ultimates yet. Now finally they get a couple ultimates available. Fusion haven't spent. They got 4 up currently so far. Zernia's going down as well. Fixer finds that one solo. Zest shut down.
Cheerios done. Disruptor finds Zest. Here's MN3 with that overclock. One shot of the far way does the trick.
Oh my.
And for Krong, MN3 is having an incredible round, Avril. This is unreal. Most of these fights have not even got started because he's been there with the headshots, clicking and removing the charge from the field.
And that's the smile I like to see as well. MN3 is feeling fired up. He's confident. He knows what's going on. MN3 can that final fight. And the Philly Fusion comfortably take a 1-0 lead in this opening map here. 100-0 as well. Charge completely absent from any of those fights. In fact, Philly Fusion have barely died. I mean, they only had 2 deaths the entire time. Yeah, Zest had a blaze shut down. MN3 did die to, I think, Xerneas. I'm still not exactly sure how that occurred, but beyond that, Fury, AimGod, Fixer, all still deathless. Only 2 frags from Charge that entire opening round. It is a bit of a disastrous opening for the Guangzhou Charge, but for Philly Fusion, exactly what you want to see.
All right, here we go. Round number 2, moving on to the Gardens. Choi did pivot on to the Pharah for the time being. So we're going to have that different variation in effect for this round. The rest of the team's going to migrate over to the point. Fury a little bit isolated for now. Very vulnerable to these rockets. The entire team's just charging into Fury. Here come the reinforcements from the Fusion, though. They're collapsing, but it's too late to save them. And the isolated Fury going down early, and this is Charge clapping back on round number 2.
Coming through with a variation, Choi Se-hwan on towards the fire. We kind of did allude to maybe this being a possibility for the Charge to flex onto. I said maybe Choi wouldn't do it because the Genji has been really good, but at the same time, you did get clapped on an opening round. Maybe a bit of a risk is required here. Now a risk does pay off for the Guangzhou Charge. Fusion though, see how they bounce back into this one. So you still have at least AimGod getting away with his life, so not a complete team wipe coming through from the Guangzhou Charge. Just now moving over towards the Echo, predictably to try and counter Choi.
It's always such a strong move to deal with the Pharah. The Echo just seems to win these matchups all the time, so should give Fusion the edge in the Sky battle, which will translate into the ground. Couple of directs find MN3 though. He's not the only damage lineup who can be accurate when it comes to these projectiles. They're going to have Choi Se-hwan just nailed him. Needs to pay attention to where Zest is though. He's still hovering around, hunting for him. Jimmy's going to try and keep that Echo in check though, I feel.
It's just 2 directs coming through from Choi, exactly as you need on a very important member of MN3. Very similar in some cases to what Fusion were doing to Charge earlier on via MN3's rails, right? Just solo picks, slowing down the Philadelphia Fusion, or in this case, that was the Guangzhou Charge the previous round. Now Choi's about to get this barrage online, should be the first ultimate through. Zest in a 1 versus 1, trying to get Choi down but can't do it.
Yeah, I think he picked up a pack there just to restore him. If he didn't have access to the Mega, he would have really struggled there, but just delays the inevitable. Zest able to pick up that kill. Goes back to the Sky, 27 HP outside of Farway's range, but Jimmy, he has the railgun. You can't escape that one. Flip comes in for Fusion while this whole outside skirmish was happening.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, you'll kill, and MN3 will kill Choi again. You will get Zest down if you are the Guangzhou Charge, but you lose everybody else. And as soon as Choi respawns, he instantly gets killed. So it's actually 6 deaths in that particular fight. Really good for the Fusion to pick up, especially in the ult charge department as well. And Choi is actually still waiting to get that barrage online. Sitting in the 90s here, has been for a reasonable while. Charge have the capability to make the comeback here, but I think once you have the attacking fire and you're not defending with the fire, it's a lot harder to get that value going. You want to be defending chokes as a fire. Attacking chokes, really not the same deal.
You can see the flank coming in. They're just trying to hover around the outskirts of the point, but being kept in check. Rallies both pop. There's the barrage coming in from Choi. It clears space, but it doesn't result in any kills. And MN3 picks off the static Pharah with the right click. Duplication for Zest coming in. There's another Jungle Queen on the field. Carnage cuts through, but it's MN3 beats into the punch with the kill. Farway's not going to last this one. Great Jagged Knife pull into Jimmy to help MN3 pick off that kill. And now they've surpassed the Charge's charge and are aiming towards the end of this map.
No casualties either there. AimGod, by the way, is still deathless. The only one that went down was Zest on the duplicate. You're okay with that one. MN3 shutting down Choi was so huge, and that means 0 value found on the rocket barrage. You expect a lot more from Choi in that exact play. A 1-for-1 is kind of the minimum. Guangzhou Charge now back over towards the Genji. MN3 on the rails for the overclock. Charge is just trying to scatter.
Say the only option is to scatter, Avril. You can't like hide in the sightlines. They're too long on that bridge coming from White Room that you're just so vulnerable to MN3 picking you off. You know he's on fire today. Why chance it? Here's Jimmy's chance. There's the chance coming in with the overclock. Waits for it to expire, finds it onto MN3, turns his attention around to Zest. Unable to find a connection here. Krong having to clean it up as Jimmy skirts away to safety. Thankfully, Charge managed to clear out the Fusion at 99%. They'll get the flip. Now, they have the Rampage and a beat to cut through, but I think Charge have options to stop that.
Charge have a long way to go, though. I mean, there's still 33, 36% to go through once we get to the 100% mark, 99% mark. And, okay, they have pretty even ultimates, right? It's Rampage and Sound Barrier on both sides. I'm looking towards both AimGod and Farway, getting these rallies into that next fight also. First Rampage, super important here. Expecting the Sound Barriers to come through immediately when the Rampages get popped.
Rampage just finding 4. That's big from Krong. Beat comes out and answer. Fury still holding on to theirs. They're going to answer it, but I think they got killed before they were able to apply to anyone. You're going to have to do it without Zest. Still making this work despite being caught on the back foot. Krong needs to get out of here. Mega. Flip comes in. Someone's got to touch. Xerneas is there to trigger overtime, keep it alive. They're keeping Krong away from the fight. There's no support for him. Takedown from Zest. And now the backline's arriving too late. Xerneas gets in just by the skin of a whisker. As Choi Se-hwan will then jump back onto the point as well to keep the overtime alive, try and buy time for Krong to get back into the fight, but they're playing at a numbers disadvantage, especially when Jimmy gets taken out as well.
They just don't have a tag.
Blade coming out from Choi. AimGod moving over to Fury, turns attention to MN3, gets the cut through as well. Choi might be putting the team on his back here to keep him alive. This is the longest overtime we've seen in a while. Zest comes out with a counterblade to 5-2. and he gets delayed, back away from Farway. There's a wrecking ball from Krong, which isn't efficient, but it will keep things alive for the charge. As Farway forced back into white, picks up the mini, double supports, taking down one, and here's Pixar to find Farway. They move back to the point. They're going to claim their own 99% average. They got the flip in the chaos there.
And Seoul have missing members, so they have Ball, they have Soldier, they have Trace. It's not the ideal composition to be playing through, but it's one that they have to just try and touch Aimgod in the backline.
Oh,
He had
no!
choice of one, booped off even. With Krong being anti, that might just be quick charge out of this fight. They started the plays alive.
Well, we got the flip back. Nice little delay to stop Farway going across
just
the bridge
Xerneas.
with the shield bash. Xerneas is surely going to go down here. He can't stay up. Overtime ticks down. Fusion will finally claim map 1 after a very elongated overtime.
Yeah, and I think that was 4 Fusions taking as well, just a little bit of, like you sort of said, elongated time to get the win for Fusion Charge. They came back on stall heroes. We saw the Ball, we saw the Tracer, we saw the Soldier. That's only going to go so far in terms of trying to win this fight. Philly Fusion still have the standard composition. They didn't change anything. They had Aimgod coming back on the Ana. That's one thing, but you still very importantly have Fury on that specific Junker Queen, right? Krong dying in that final engagement was, 2 versus 3. Unfortunately, Krong's too low HP. He goes for the Mega Pack, but as the point flips over, Xerneas has to go for the touch. So those 2 members in the 2v3 get split up. Krong gets taken down. Xerneas is solo. Charge don't have a tank. They can't contest properly. They come back with the Ball, and you just can't win a fight with that sort of composition back in Fusion. They whittle down the Charge, and they eventually get the win, but they put themselves in the winning position first, survive against Choice Blade, get Zest Blade out, and Zest Blade does the job.
All right, it's Charge's map pick. Moving into the second map of the series, we're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, we'll see what they have for you when you return.
Stay down. This ends now.
Okay, so the first 2 replays I kind of get, but that third one was just doing Krong dirty, I feel like. Just watching him hang from underneath the bridge,
sad.
just face the inevitable.
I've been there. It's tragic. You know, it is tragic. You're just kind of at that moment, you're accepting death. You're like, well, there's only one direction I can go from here, and it is down. And unfortunately, you're also in the last fight. It's 99 to 99. You know, like, you kind of have to get back into action, but you can't. Credit to Fusion for knocking as many players off the map as they did. But I think at that stage, it was pretty clear-cut for the Philadelphia Fusion. They had it locked up. MN3 had it locked up. Praise be MN3 in this lineup so far, because he actually got 15 out of 36 final blows for the Philly Fusion over the course of those 2 rounds. Now, the second of which was far more tight, you know, in terms of closeness and competitiveness. Get to Gardens, it's 99 to 99. Choi comes out in the Farah. It works for some time until the Zest Echo shuts them down, and from then on outwards, Fusion mostly had Charge's number. Going to Hollywood now is Charge's pick. Let's see if they turn it around.
See what they come out with as well. I know we'll probably see some cheeky little like Widowmaker on the spawn. Won't see that roll out. They just want to see if anyone pokes their head too aggressively underneath
Which,
the
by the
arches.
way, we saw the Pelican deflate kill on this exact map yesterday. Well, rather this morning from the NA games over in Toronto. So that was pretty hot.
It's always a risk.
Pelican gone.
I'm saying there's always a risk of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like Pelican, he's waiting for the Widow shot to come on through, just deflects it straight back in the Widow. That's the kind of thing you love to see. So, how do we handle this situation here as we look back to our previous series yesterday? Seoul Dynasty and Philadelphia played Hollywood. There's a 3-2 victory for Seoul. They finished the entire map. Philly unfortunately failed to finish the entire map, as this will be the one to take the opening shot coming through as well. Fusion now making their first push forward. I actually specifically remember Fusion nearly full-held the Seoul Dynasty on Hollywood A yesterday, but they overextended into the Seoul offensive spawn on A. That ended up being their mistake. They're attacking first. We'll have to see how their defense goes later on. Choi already taking a rail shot, 1 HP dead.
What a combo there from the damage line for Philly. MN3 doing the broke for the work. Zest comes in with the shuriken to finish him off. Not a good start on your map pick, Charge. You need to try and recover this quickly. Choi can get back to the fight relatively quickly, being on the Genji. Drove for the cut down Xerneas, missed the slice. They still will get a reset to go to Krong.
Nice.
Zest just cuts through the entire team with the help of his supports. Will rotate back round to the point, and Choi Se-1 will be arriving too late to make a difference.
Yeah, flawless, and this will be the stage where you will get the cap as well. Charge can no longer contest. Best thing that Charge can do is set up for some high ground, maybe set up for a fight very early on as the gates to be do in fact open. Zest already kind of sort of marking some space up forward. Choi to challenge, but Zest kind of dominated that very early fight. Though credit to MN3 for setting up the initial kill. We did look at Choi Se-1's POV. He did take a rail shot, and that rail shot is what sets off the momentum for Fusion winning the fight.
Yeah, he doesn't get the final blow, still being the impactful member here. Choi off to the side, he's playing around the Mega, just watching this side entrance. Might get overwhelmed here quickly, he might go for the kill on Fixer. Oh, Choi has to use that dash not to go after the Lucio, but instead get to safety. Nice boot from the top, brings them all down to the ground level. That's actually incredible from Fixer, and it sets them up nicely to take out Krong. Zest and the rest of the boys are relatively safe here. Payload has been moving this entire time, and now he has a blade from above for all of his worries.
Charge are backing out of this one. They'll be kind of thankful that they only lost the one. They still get to back up because that could have gone a lot more poorly for the Guangzhou Charge. They could have lost everybody, right? Fusion could have actually clean wiped them off of the stage. This particular, you know, B point, I should probably say. MN3, the beautiful rail to Jimmy, just happens like clockwork for this guy so far. High ground control in favor of the Fusion, and they will get the other 4 kills in a short order, I feel.
Alright, nice little return onto Aim God though, so it does stem the bleeding just a fraction. Beat used in action for the blades. And then Free finds far away. Zest is just going to clean them up after the blade finishes. And Charge have not been able to find any footing in this map whatsoever. Yeah. Avril constantly getting picked off, constantly losing fights, and Fusion just rolling.
It legitimately feels like we're in an opening round of Control back on our first map again of Lijiang, right? It feels like we're back on Night Market where Charge just can't get a fight going. They're constantly down one, whether it's Choi being railed out, Jimmy getting railed out, somebody's getting railed out. MN3 nearly hit another shot there. Overclock coming through with Choi once more.
Talking about nearly, I think he heard you, Avril. Immediately flicks onto Choi, finds the finishing blow. She's come through. Choi, like Charge, they're not worried about the objective right now, Avril. They're worried about staying alive. That is the objective for them because MN3 and the rest of Fusion
should be
are
worried about
blitzing
MN3.
them.
there's a lot to be worried about. MN3 needs is a big concern for the Guangzhou Charge. Currently, they can't even really get out to contest. It's an entire team diff, or maybe it's just the MN3 versus everybody diff. Strongest player in the server so far that we've seen. Zest is keeping up in frags, but MN3 is putting the Charge to pound town. Currently, we talk about Charge. I mean, having a good showing so far in this tournament. They even beat the Philadelphia Fusion previously, but so far they've yet to win a fight on Hollywood. Choi has a plan. He wants MN3 down.
Trying to find them. Rally. Rampage goes through.
He's looking
Charge
for it.
on the back foot. Holds the deflect long enough. Support comes in. Just delays MN3 from going down, but that's the only thing Choi will get. Raid boss down for the Charge, but they lost 2 members in that off the back of Fury's Rampage, just making it really difficult to sustain the fight. And now the Charge have to back off, so they stalled the payload, but that still doesn't feel like a decisive fight win, because now they're getting resets, and Zest is hunting this final member of the Charge from that original fight. Respawns have come in. They can't even save Xerneas on the spawn door right now, and now they have to deal with the blade.
It might be a
Maybe
cat.
it's about to touch. Someone touch! No!
They can't.
Krong gets
No, they
there
do touch.
just in time. Oh, gets there just in time with the Rampage. But here's the blade from Zest. It's so messy. The Charge are panicking. They can't breathe. They can't set anything up. They are being strangled by the Fusion. And a 3-minute 43 time bank exists at the end there.
I'm going to have to check world records here. I'm going to go ahead and check right now
Please do.
what the record for fastest cap on Hollywood is, because I feel like we're getting close. If it's not a record, it is damn near close. It's
You're going to check
3:43
that.
time
I'm going
back.
to check MN3's PC.
I don't think there was a single moment where the Fusion really stopped pushing. Did you see a moment when they stopped pushing? Because to me, the payload was basically going the entire way through.
One moment on point B where they lost the fight and just Krong was just dying on point. That was it.
Right. Okay, here we go.
And it wasn't even for that long.
All right, so I do have confirmation on records. The fastest ever time bank for Hollywood was 3:47. So this is 4 seconds off. This is tied equal for the second fastest Hollywood ever, though. So the second for confirmation, the fastest Hollywood ever was a time bank of 3:47. That's a cap of 4:13. That was done by Hangzhou Spark versus Chengdu Hunters in 2020. Second fastest, now tied equal, previously set, was Shock versus Paris 2021, 3:43. This is also 3:43. So we have a tied equal record now. Second fastest Hollywood ever.
Shows you the dominance that's going into this series at the moment. Apple does it this close to setting world record pace in a lower bracket round. You have a tournament here. Now it's time for the Fusion to be on defense. No major switches up here. Charge have found their way around the point.
And remember, Philly nearly full held Seoul yesterday. I think there's some regrets there from the Philly camp. They probably wish they didn't make a mistake on the A defense. They didn't overcommit. They could have just held, but this time around, they're not overcommitting. Jimmy will get the opening rail shots, very similar to what we saw from Fusion versus Charge previously. MN3 at least responds, but he dies.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe could have equalized things again, but Krong taking him out makes things rough here. Zest can get back to the fight. I don't know if they're going to stall. They are isolated, though, so I don't know what the plan is here. They're going to at least try and... Yep, they're going to contest it. I think it's the only thing they can do here. As Zest comes back. He's going to be throwing the shurikens around on the point. They've bought enough time for MN3 to come back as well, I feel. They might be able to turn this just at the end, Avril.
Krong is in a lot of danger currently.
Oh,
Choi down first, though. Far away to follow next, maybe. Fusion have yet to drop a member.
No, they've got it. They've actually managed to come back here on the cusp, Avril. Jimmy doing his best MN3 impression to take out MN3. But no, they're just going to catch all the stragglers on the outside. So looking really shaky for the Fusion. Do we still count it as a full hold if they don't allow point A to be captured? Because they allowed progress, though, you know?
I mean, I don't know what the definition is anymore. I'm pretty sure from my perspective, a full hold is just like completing any sort of hold on A. I think the old definition was you couldn't allow a tick to come on through, but that obviously doesn't apply to escort, right? So you have to be kind of weird with the terminology because escort does count and there's no like ticks in escort. So for me, a full hold is just defending A entirely with whatever available. But, you know, whatever way you want to define it. In either case, Fusion are on for an A-point defense. Fury, by the way, hasn't died yet. That's actually very important because Fury didn't die. He gets to come back and contest with the team. Now Zest pulls Blade.
Rally for the Blade. Zest still finds it. Ends the armor early. Beat comes out from Xerneas. Support ultimates on the line side of Fusion is still available as Fixer drops the beat, but they still have the rally. And it's going to cut through. They're now going to get the overclock, potentially the Rampage online, but it's going to be a rough battle for the Charge going up against that rally from AimGod. They still managed to hold on to that in that previous conflict.
By the way, it took me a long time to realize the joke trade, but I just realized that Philly, of course, they got the second fastest time in Hollywood, not the first. Philly, not known for first, you know, they're very well known for second. We understand that.
All the way back to the first grand finals. Unfortunate. Very unfortunate for them.
So we'll see if they can get a first here. First point hold, otherwise we're going to go to the second. Jimmy on to MN3 again, that's what you need.
Makes it so much harder when he finds those shots. Takes one player out. Test in his face, nice flick there. Both the damage dealers from Philadelphia Fusion have been removed. Choice A1 pulls the blade out here, so they're making this pretty expensive for the Charge, but they want to seal the deal and get onto the escort section of the map. Clearing out the stragglers, no more contestation. We're now going to get the payload in motion.
Jimmy Overwatch. This is what Jimmy Overwatch does, right? You can't count him out of this game. He will pull through and give the Charge the tools they need to push on forward. You take down the raid boss duo of MN3 and Zest. Now, the Philadelphia Fusion onto a B-point defense, but Charge still don't obviously have a lot of time. Compared to the 343 time bank,
Nope.
Charge are not going to match that. They are going to have to just finish with anything they can and hope for the best in the time bank period of this map. If we do get that, Fury has now finally died. That's Fury's first death so far in that previous fight of this entire map, both attack and defense combined. He will have the Rampage available. M3 has overclock as well. Jimmy's already used the overclock in the final fight with the previous fight of A. So M3 will be the first to pop here, just holding Charge at bay for now.
He's waiting for that shot, the opportunity to just get a freebie with the railgun, then he'll probably go for the overclock unless he's pushed into it. There you go, overclock. Zest goes down for the Jagged Blade just in time. Needs to find a pick here to equalize things. Choi has the deflect. The melee from AimGod will find the kill. Rampage cuts through.
Everybody
dodge,
caught.
not fast enough. 4 members. And the Charge counterattack is huge. You can hide in the corner, but Krong is going to find you all the same. The Charge keep the payload in motion. They aren't going to be able to match the pace of Philadelphia Fusion. Like we said, that was a tied for the second fastest Hollywood, but they are still on the path to completion.
I gotta say as well, you know, a lot of people have given criticism towards Krong for his performance so far in the Jungle Meet, but that play right there, that was all Krong, right 4-man hit on the Rampage. He gets a knife kill on the Zest as well. He basically set up everything for the Charge to get that win. It'll be the first death, unfortunately, for this particular fight. Fury gets the better of him. Charge backing out.
Yeah, there's a big offensive from the Fusion coming in. They use the shout, there's a carnage to cut him down. Charge, very decisive. They're just like, okay, we're going to leave. We're going to get out as fast as we can, not lose any more members. Play it safe. They have 2 support ultimates to attack back with. Philadelphia Fusion, they have a blade and their own Rampage because Fury was unable to execute it in the previous fight. Still have defensive options. 1 minute 20 left on the clock. They're going to take a direct route to the payload, it seems.
It's just such a convenient way for the Fusion to win as well, right? Just a 1 kill. Okay, you're not going to get a huge cleanup, but you do force a charge back. You do force a reset. Now it's going to be Blade coming through. Following has his rally cancelled.
Amazing shot by MN3. Right target, right time. Zest able to move forward with the blade to find Krong. Rotating it back around to the fight. Charge, they have time to be decisive on this one. They've left the straggler to go for the back cap. But Jimmy, don't lose your
record in terms of tied equal for second being set there by the Fusion. I mean, that's brilliant stuff.
It's going to give you a lot to be afraid of if you're a Charge fan, because they're now on their last life, if you would, do with the tournament. Another map loss here means they will be going home. The Fusion will be securing themselves a spot in the next stage of the tournament. We're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, it's once again going to be Charge's map pick. How can we recap it?
I mean, I can recap it based on memory if you know. I'll do that.
Cool. It looks like we got PGM back now anyway. Like someone's
Oh
fixed it.
yes, I see now.
Apologies about the technical difficulties there at the end. The Philadelphia Fusion have managed to score out another win. We're now at a 2-0 scoreline against the Charge. Charge, unfortunately, were unable to cap point B. Avril, how good's your memory? Do you reckon you can give people the lowdown on what they missed?
Yeah, I think we'll take a look at that through replays anyway, but essentially, you know, there was, 51 seconds remaining. Charge trying to come through for a final engagement. I'm actually now, you know what, now that I'm being put on the spot, I'm trying to remember which exact ultimates are being used. I know it came down to a 3v3. I'm trying to remember how we got to the 3v3, but essentially the 3v3 looks like, I believe it's 1 DPS with Fury and 1 support alive. I think it might have been Aim God for the Fusion, and then for the Charge, it was Xerneas and Faraway Dead. So it was the 2 DPS plus Krong alive. I think Jimmy was actually coming back from spawn as well, and Jimmy was first death to probably MN3, somebody like that. He was coming back from spawn, so it was actually 2v3 for a while. Jimmy comes in with Overclock, as I think it was Krong that was dying, and then Jimmy takes a bunch of damage, tries to get a little bit aggressive with the Overclock. He actually gets 1 kill in the Overclock, which is nice, but it's not enough to save the day for the Charge. They just don't have the healers right. When you have a 3v3, the team that has at least the 1 support alive, it has, in my opinion, a pretty big advantage just through the healing alone. When there's 0 healing available for the Charge in that last 3v3, it's just not going to work out for you. So, yeah, they couldn't clutch up. I think the respawns were favored for Fusion anyway, given that we're at the end of B, that's close to the Fusion respawns, much further away for the side of the Guangzhou Charge. It was very difficult for Charge to get much more done there.
That has been your Avril recap. We'll now cut back to our regularly scheduled programming of map number 3. It's going to be match point for the Philadelphia Fusion. Charge have selected Circuit Royale, Avril. Now, this is another map that you said that Fusion tend to be quite good at as well, correct?
But Charge are good as well. This is the thing. It's like I sort of mentioned in the pre-show that Circuit was going to be a very important map here because both teams favor it. This was the best map for Charge in the series versus Shanghai yesterday. I mean, it was the one where it honestly looked like Charge could have beaten Shanghai, and that would have been the 2nd ever map loss for the Shanghai Dragons this entire 3rd tournament stage. So it would have been a big deal if Charge won. They didn't quite get there. We actually went into a full time bank as well. You know, I got confidence that this could go some distance here. Fusion looked amazing on this map yesterday, but Charge also looked really damn good. What do you call this piece?
I actually have no idea, because I don't think it's a piece. I think it's more for performance art, Avril, the music.
Fusion, you know what, just call this performance art, yeah, it's called this song Fusionable.
Fusionable?
Yeah, Fusionable,
sounds...
the song. The theme song.
I'm drowning it out, just like I drown out their fan base. It's great.
Wow. I respect that. I respect that. That's the kind of fire that I like to push out sometimes.
It's the only way I can. It's the only way I can survive online, Avril. It just needs to. Some things you just have to block out, you know.
That's what BP does as well. So here we go.
MN3 Ash.
Obviously, we do see the Ash at the start to break out of the spawn hold. Not much of a spawn hold there. Actually, Charge are playing that one very passively. You can see that they're not actually going up to the spawn doors. They're playing the first corner instead. So a much safer version of the initial aggressive spawn hold. It does allow Philly Fusion to say, okay, well, they're not at our spawn doors. Let's swap off of the Ash, go back towards the Soldier. That's the standard play here. Choi taking a big shot.
Yeah, he's able to weather the storm, though, on that back corner. Fusion of claims base. Zest now having to take cover after getting dinged, no doubt, from a Jimmy Railgun.
Hashtag Jimmy Railgun.
I'm pretty sure there's another hashtag that's associated with Jimmy that's not Jimmy Railgun.
We'll leave that one for the after hours broadcast. And now, I say that, and this broadcast, depending on where you live, is happening pretty late at night. But yeah, well, after hours then. You know, so far after hours, the sun is rising again. Krong now taking a lot of damage, but it's actually MN3 down. Oh, sorry, MN3 from Jimmy.
I didn't even see Jimmy. I thought MN3 was aiming for Krong, then he just finds Jimmy at the back. Takes him out there with the railgun shot. Zest should be able to deal with Choi here. I think he's just going to try and milk some ult charge. Knows he's probably going to die in this instance. But that's a very fast point A capture.
Could it be a cap?
Fusion here.
Well, we actually have to see, because while Xerneas is coming back now, they can speed boost into play here. They have to get there quickly, but nope. MN3 once again controls the pacing of the game. We thought they could have been a bit of a final contest. MN3 says no, and now Charge have to be wary about getting out alive. They have 4 members up, but they can't look forward to lose anybody else.
So they're spawning out of the point B defense door, but now they've like kind of, well, they're basically now already playing like they're defending C. They're so far pushed back, Avril.
Yes, that's pretty. I think that's pretty standard for Circuit Royale as well. When you have one team Winning A as handedly as the Philly Fusion did. You kind of just push the charge back into spawn. MN3 has the overclock available. Jimmy certainly halfway there. At least the sound barrier is coming through for the charge.
Zest is out the blades. They went so hard to try and shut down MN3's overclock that they forgot about Zest, and Krong will pay the price for his ignorance. Going down here, Rally popped in that engagement as well. Choice A1 now has a blade to use. Fixer has the beat, that should be a good counter. Does mean that Fusion will have an overlap with the Rally if in any of these follow-up engagements. Payload has just been wistfully just being escorted by Fixer, I believe, up to the point.
Yeah, it's been a 4v5 the entire way through as well, because Fusion have been solo pushing with one member. Now it's going to be a proper 5v5 with ultimates committed. Choices that we did. That's the only ultimate for Charge gone.
This is going to be a disaster for the Charge, Avril. Their big bite, their big gun, it's just been gone. It just cost Fixer's beat, and like I said, we still have that Rally overlap for the next engagement. And Choi is just going to be attacks at the end as well. This is not looking good. Charge, they're all over the place.
I tell you what, Guangzhou Charge did reverse sweep the Philadelphia Fusion in the regular season game of Week 17, but you know, that Watchpoint Gibraltar was a good look for the Charge when they got that reverse sweep done. Here it's just unfortunate look so far. It's looking like another speed run. Fusion have been unimpeded. There was a minor slowdown on A, but not really. You know, A was still very smooth for the Fusion. B was a complete free push there, not a single fight won from the Charge. They couldn't even get their ultimates into play for the most part. Now they need to get that done. Choi with the blade.
That Rally, but they've already found MN3. Fury has a Rampage online if they want to use it. Going to try and cut through to reset the fight. Xerneas the only one found. Jimmy with the railgun slides back to safety. We've lost two members right now. Fusion still have the man advantage, and Jimmy's ult is about to expire.
Jimmy
Doesn't want to lose his life. Will be able to slide back, but they're just chasing him down. He's boxed in a corner. Reinforcements coming out the spawn, but they can't keep him alive. The carnage finds him at the end from Fury. And now Zest has their blade, but no HP to safely pull it out. We'll have to retreat for safety. We'll have that big tool for the next engagement.
The payload's been moving the whole time, so despite losing members, the payload is moving up. Charge will get another kill here. That will finally reset the Philly Fusion. By the way, that Fixer death to Choice A1 is the second only final blow that has occurred against the Fusion. The other one was on MN3, so Choi has got the only 2 kills from the Charge the entire way through. Actually, I like Krong is one as well, so 3, but Choi's got 2 out of the 3.
Alright, Krong's Rampage finds 2, Fixer and Fury rally from far away as well. Seems expensive. Zest pulls out the blade. Cleave damage hits through Krong and Farway. We'll finally be able to take him down. MN3 about to have the overclock online, tucked away in the corner, isolated from the team. Regroups over. Jimmy takes MN3 out of the sky. Love the quick POV change from the observers there.
Charge still should be able to get this fight underway. I mean, they have the health bar advantage. Farway looking pretty low here. Fury surely gets cleaned up, but as all of this happens, you know, Charge, they lose double supports. MN3 Zest gets those kills required. Charge still end up losing the fight. It was a good-looking fight. Maybe you could force out more from the Fusion. You've at least slowed down the push. The payload's barely slid backwards. This is still very contentious for the Charge. They haven't been able to do enough. They haven't won hard enough.
It's going to be rough. MN3 can pop the overclock here. Just go to town. He can play really far back and still have effect on the map. He's going to slide forward though, over the top. Beat comes out from Xerneas. He's also come out from Fixer as well. Aimgod's already used that rally. Krong's been taken out. MN3 finds Jimmy. That's 3 members down for the Charge. How are they going to defend this? They are not. 2:26 on the clock for Circuit Royale. We talked about the last time these two teams played each other, Advil. You mentioned it earlier. The reverse sweep is how Charge are able to get away with this one, but Charge don't look in control in any sense of the word in this series. They've just been absolutely dominated at every step. If they're going to reverse sweep, they have to just have one hell of a push here and start rebuilding their confidence, because it's in pieces on the floor of their offices right now. Yeah,
100%. And, you know, to sort of harken back to what happened on Gibraltar in the regular season game where, in fact, Guangzhou did reverse sweep the Philadelphia Fusion, Guangzhou prevented Fusion from capping C of Gibraltar. Guangzhou themselves finished Gibraltar. They did not allow Fusion to finish Gibraltar. Here, Fusion's already got a full cap on Circuit. They've finished the map already. And, you know, we've talked plenty about the various strengths of different teams on this particular map. I don't fault the Charge for coming here. I think Charge are confident on this map and they want to be playing a map they are good at. It just so happens, unluckily for them, that this is also one of Fusion's best maps. It's just how that cookie crumbles.
This is the most controlled Charge I've looked the entire series.
You know what, Trid, do enjoy the piano meta where every team now, I think Finn is kind of the sort of epicenter of this, but every team now, when they play circuits, somebody is in charge of playing something on the piano. They just sort of, you almost have to learn a tune on the piano now. It's like required. Finn started that for everybody else.
God bless him. Now, more of a forward hold from the Fusion. Not to be deterred, Krong's gone down already, so Charge, their first offensive to breach the defense of the Fusion. Not gone too well. MN3 was tucked in the alleyway. Tries to get back to his team. Fix has been found out by some dynamite. MN3's gone down, so that full hold has now been dismantled. But still managed to cost the Charge quite a few things. They are losing lives on the way out here.
It's a good number of kills coming through for the Charge, so no matter what happens here, Charge will break out of the spawn hold. Fusion lose a couple more members. Fury going down last means it's going to take a while for Fusion to get into a position to recontest. They need Fury alive to do that. Jimmy staying on the Ash. I think that's a very important thing to note here. He actually went back to spawn anyway, thought about going towards the Sojum, decided against it. We'll stay on the Ash here as we build towards the Bob, nearly the halfway mark. No one really running away with ultimates. Maybe Aim God actually will get this rally very soon. That's going to be a big boon for the Fusion in the next fight.
Lions are just about to jump the Apex in that corner, charging in to the coastal line. Try to isolate Choi. It's hard to do that to a Genji, but they'll regroup the fight. 100 charge for MN3, looking for the shot. Turns attention over to Jimmy. Fury's gone down to Krong. Not the start you're looking for the Fusion. This defense has already been disrupted. Good call onto Fiorway. We'll take them out. Jimmy finds Fixer, still staying on the Ash for the time being. Fusion just very muted right now, unable to play as aggressively. They've lost 2 key members, and now the Bob's going to come online as well. Charge in a good position to get point A.
Fusion only had 3. They lost Fury. They lose Fixer as well. The Rally tries to carry them through, but the Rally can only do so much. Bob will now cover the angle. Does a bit of sliding on the wall.
Yeah, able to get him out. Beef and Fixer as they push into the Charge. Found far away, they lose MN3. Zest then takes out Jimmy as well. 4 for 3 at the moment. Choice A1 with the blade. Gonna find multiple members. Zest gonna answer back with one of his own. He's locked in the corner into Xerneas. Can't get into the fight. The beat was deployed as well. So expensive for the Charge. But Zest is buying time here for reinforcements to come in. He's not gone down yet. He surely has to drop soon. What a stall from Zest. If the reinforcements come in, they might be able to turn this around.
That was a big play from Zest. The fact that he didn't die now, MN3 gets to pop the overclock. It's far with the rally as well. 4 versus 4 so far. MN3 desperate for kills.
Jimmy's on the Tracer as well. Has to use the recall there to stay alive. Tucked down low incredibly there by MN3. Disruptor shot as well. Makes it a little bit difficult to play angles around the payload. Zest has come back to the fight. Xerneas manages to escape.
That's incredible.
Low recall. I don't think it's actually online for him yet. It might be back now.
Charging back now.
A hassle. They've actually have to lead this one. Fury only going to find Xerneas with that Rampage. They're going to keep him on this payload for the time being. There's 1 minute remaining. I think Charge can lose a decisive fight and still have one more chance to do it. But Zest putting the team back there.
They're reset. This is Charge now, definitely going back to spawn. Look, they don't have the members alive, and how has Fusion done this? It looked like a Charge cap for sure. It looked like they had that dead to rights, and now Fusion going into the Charge spawn. Maybe they've actually overcommitted. Krong gets a big punish on the Rampage. Catches 2.
Yeah, this is it. Charge going to be able to claim this one back now, but Avril, I'm absolutely with you here. Big disbelief that Fusion were able to pull that one off. I think they've sent over Xerneas to go and touch it. I think they're fine. Yeah, they've just walked it over the line here while the rest of the team's forward. But no, that was Zest. That was the power of Zest staying alive, timing the deflect, able to play around the payload enough, put enough deterrence against the Charge to stop them from just being able to cap. And then you saw the reinforcements descend from the heavens, and Fusion just reconvene as a 5-man unit, able to take down Charge.
True, that was a 1v2 as well. Zest in a 1v2 stayed alive for so long. Allowed the recontest. Still though, Fusion off the back of that, they will be overstepping. They do push into spawn. They do overstay their welcome, and Krong will get the necessary punish. So Charge, with a bit of a roundabout final push there, do get the cap on A. So the goal has still been met. They are pushing through now. 3 ultimates available. Jimmy on the Tracer as mentioned. We'll look for the pulse bomb now.
Zest Blade, B comes out, Farway still has the rally if they need it. Then answer back to deal with Choi's Blade as well, so identical ultimates used so far. Here's the rally from far away as well, it's going to make it difficult. Pulse Bomb stick in there, Choi's found 2 kills. Payload's actually pretty close as well. Just not looking good for Fusion to hold this defense. Zest, the person who usually lasts the longest, goes for the Hail Mary stalls. They're off the field as well. MN3 will get a staggered kill onto them as well. Paler's going to walk in, point
Yep.
C unlocked for Charge. So that reverse sweep, Avril, is still on the cards for the Charge if they can complete this map, but they're going to have to do it again because of Fusion.
Well, that's the thing, is like Fusion give and take here. They giveth and taketh away in the sense that they nearly full held the Charge on A, but then they have now lost enough fights and given enough momentum over towards the Charge that we are in a situation where Charge are on C and Jimmy got Valley on the Tracer. He swaps back over to something more comfortable like the Ash. We're pushing on C. He's already halfway towards his Bob, by the way. M3 on the overclock.
Yeah, it's a nice takedown there. Zest finding Choi over the top of Jimmy. Far away, the shield will delay that kill. Kronk can be a prime target, turns attention to the Xerneas, wants to go for a snipe, finds it at the end.
So
that
easy.
Far away, MN3. Oh god, just showing us how dominant he can really be. They've locked Charge in the spawn, 2 minutes 20 left to go. Yep.
Another MN3K, now a Fusion spawn camp. We talk about Fusion wanting to get aggressive on A. They'll be able to do that now on C. This is, from what I've been told by pros, the most egregiously powerful spawn camp that currently exists in Overwatch 2.
Process of enacting it. Carnage, not going to be enough. Stabbing Kronk, Fury needs some healing. His team's there for the support.
Kronk's living. Fury's living, rather.
I don't know how they managed to do it, but like I said, that egregious spawn hold now in effect, Avril. 1 minute 50 left on the clock. So they burned about 40 seconds on that one.
And I like death, on Choi. So this is guaranteed, by the way, Charge ultimates being able to spend. Jimmy to come through with the bomb almost immediately. Probably just chucks it on the fence on the left there of Fury. It'll be an ideal place, or even just way into the back. Kronk could just die. He has his rampage cancelled. That's unfortunate.
Bob on the field as well. This is so expensive for the Charge. They've not even been able to breach this hold. 2 ultimates
they won't.
No progress gained.
And 2 ultimates. Two ultimates, and they won't get out of this.
Yes. Time bank burned down, 1 minute 15. They now have Beat and Blade for it. Still options available from the Fusion to counter it as well. They have their own aggression for this fight. There goes the Blade from Zest. Choice one's going to pop it. Both beats dropped. Rally from far away could be a difference maker. Yet again, expensive. Answered back from the Fusion, and they've not got out of the spawn room yet. Fury still has this rampage to commit as Charge are being bodied in the spawn room. Sub, 1 minute time bank. Fixer and MN3 are not letting them breathe anything. No air to be found on Circuit Royale.
What time did we start with on the spawn camp? It was about 2 minutes, maybe just under 2 minutes.
2:20.
Yeah, it's been nearly a minute 30 now gone off the clock for the Charge, just sitting in spawn camp. They've spent now about 4 ultimates, still can't get out. This is ultimate number 5. Fury coming through on the rampage. Hits all 5.
Rampage from Fury! And they use the rally as well. There's 25 seconds left. Unless Xerneas has snuck out somehow, Avril. They're not touching this payload.
Look at the payload! Look at the payload!
Oh my god, it's right there outside their door! They got so much progress to make in overtime. How are they going to connect this one with 10 seconds remaining before overtime comes into effect?
My goodness, this could be it. We have another bomb available, doesn't get thrown out straight away. Guangzhou Charge are desperate for any kills. Him in 3 on the overclock again. He's been so good at these so far.
Slipping and sliding. Wants to pump some damage. He's looking towards Jimmy. Jimmy's the big gun at the back. If he can nail the railgun shot, takes a huge bite out of the Charged offense. Fusion's playing forward. He's got a good angle here. 100 shots.
Oh, wow.
Jimmy! That's the pick they wanted. He may have gone down to Choi, who's putting a valiant effort in, but the numbers advantage securely in favor of the Fusion. Absolute dominance from Philly, and they secure themselves a spot in the next round.
Yep, they survive, and they survive with flying colors, very little resources. Again, they're out in the wilderness and thinking, is that all? Is that all that the wilderness has to come up against us? This is too easy for Philadelphia Fusion. It's a stroll in the park, and the Guangzhou Charge, unfortunately, have just not shown up to play today. Or if they have, it's nothing in the face of what Philly can bring to the table. MN3, Zest Fury, AimGod, Fixer, everybody putting in the work. And across all 3 maps, very little resistance from the Guangzhou Charge. It has been their first tournament showing in 2 years, a brand new lineup bolstered by ex-Chengdu members, bolstered by their academy team members from Ultra Prime. It's gotten them this far. A 4-2 record, 3rd seed in the tournament, but unfortunately they will be the first team eliminated, and the Philadelphia Fusion full smiles across the board. They were the best team today in this match.
I think that's just undisputed at that point. You know, even from that first round, watching MN3 do a takeover of Night Market on Lijiang Tower, you just knew this was going to be a different day for the Fusion, and the momentum kept rolling. And and they kept picking up the kills. They kept ending fights before they even started. They had lethal spawn holds coming in, especially at the end. And, you know, without a doubt, this is probably the easiest one to call for me, I think. I know you highlighted all the players, but just especially earlier on in the series, Apple, MN3 just took control of the series. He's going to be your player of the match.
I'll give you MN3 guesses to guess this one, but honestly, from start to finish, like you said, there was one man on my mind, and it is, you know, one of the most hyped up rookies that we've had coming into the Overwatch League. It's not been the greatest stage for the Philadelphia Fusion. MN3 wasn't even playing for the majority of the qualification stage. Once he comes back in, though, once he jumps back on, I mean, you see the power that he brings to the table. You see, like you sort of mentioned, how much of a raid boss MN3 has been, how many fights, how many picks he delivers. I mean, fight after fight after fight, the opening frag from MN3, and this is the crazy part, whether he's on the final blow kill feed or not, he either gets the kill himself, or he sets up the railgun body shot for then Zest to come in through and get that kill, as we saw in Hollywood. So he's a part of the opening frag, he's a part of the opening play, he's just a part of the play no matter what phase of the game we're in.
Fantastic. And like you said, Apple, rookie year, by the way. Rookie season for them. They've come in and absolutely had a wonderful performance, particularly today. Secures themselves a spot in that lower bracket final tomorrow. Their opponents are TBD as things stand. But we say goodbye to the Charge. That's the end of their tournament run. They're not able to participate any further in the Summer Showdown, so it just leaves 3 teams remaining: the Philadelphia Fusion, the Shanghai Dragons, and the Seoul Dynasty, 2 of which we're going to be seeing shortly to decide who's getting a spot to the Grand Finals already.
Yeah, I think the best match in all of APAC here, number 1 versus number 2 seed. We still have game break to come through, Trid, to break down a little bit more of what we just saw and maybe what is to come, but, you know, first match done.
All right, well, we're going to take that game break now, Avril. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, let's break down the series further, and then we got our final match of the day.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Upper Deck, the official trading card of the Overwatch League. And by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
Welcome back to the Summer Showdown tournament. We just saw the Charge go up against the Fusion. Fusion absolutely dominating the series, incredibly one-sided. So I don't know how long the replay package is going to be. That's not for lack of quality though, Avro. I'm thinking just purely from quantity. We had 3 maps and they were relatively quick, I'd say.
I'll tell you what, there's a large quantity of Fusion clips to choose from. A game
Yes.
of Overwatch did indeed occur. And it's an MN3-0 performance here. Just nothing really there from the Charge. I mean, I don't want to be... That's probably not entirely fair because the Charge did win some very convincing fights. We did actually see a Circuit Royale go not quite the distance, but at least getting somewhat deep. We got the C point right, so impressive from the Charge in that sort of situation, given how far behind they looked on our first 2 maps. Hollywood in particular, Tread, I gotta say, definitely felt like the most one-sided to me because we literally set a new record, second tied equal for fastest time ever on Hollywood.
Yeah, it's the fact that we had to check that up at any point just because we thought it might have been the fastest shows you how it was going, regardless of what the actual result was. I think we just saw it as well. Cheeky little bit of tech there on the end of Lijiang Tower as well. Zest jumping up and body blocking the stun from far away to stop them from being able to get to the point and then causing them to die. Like, that's pretty cool.
To be fair to Farway, that might have been just luck from Zest as well, because I don't know that's like... I don't know that you're expecting him to shield bash you there because you can't really preempt it. So
oh
you
no,
jump across.
I think he was preempting. I think he was preempting because he's going to have to use the shield bash to get across the gap. That's why I think he knew, because it was right at the end of overtime.
We'll take that. I'll give you that. That's
Yeah.
fair enough. So yeah, it might have just been some clever tech. And anyway, one thing that we can definitely see here, this is SPOV from his 1v2 stall right. And something that I find very interesting that I quite respect Zest for is he doesn't overcommit on the blade. Because you think, you know, when you have the blade out, you're in a 1v2, is it time for the hero play, right? You want to run into the other team and just slash them down, maybe just get both kills. His goal there was to play patiently and be like, you know what, I'm not going to go for the kills, because if I go for the kills, I might actually die, and if I die, the cap goes through. So he plays patiently there, sheathes the blade again, stays alive, maximum duration on deflect, uses the geometry of the payload itself, allows MN3 to get back to the payload with an overclock, and then they actually defend A. Now, what happens after that was a bit of a mistake, so we can definitely, you know, then argue that for Charge, they made a bit of a detour there, took the scenic route to cap A, but they still capped A by the graces of Fusion, allowing them to in some cases there as well. But after that, we're back into Fusion winning territory, an immaculate spawn camp on the, you know, the C point attack from the Charge. Philly just rushing to the spawn. Again, like I said, the most difficult spawn hole to break through from the attacking POV. And yeah, Charge couldn't break through.
Well, that's it. Charge out of the tournament. Fusion going on to the next stage. Their opponents are going to be decided in our next matchup. It is the Shanghai Dragons going up against the Seoul Dynasty after this break. Welcome back to the Summer Showdown tournament. We're in our winners bracket final. The number 1 and number 2 seeds, Seoul Dynasty and Shanghai Dragons, going up against each other in their second clash of this stage. And by most rights, or most people's beliefs, probably going to be their second of third, Avril.
Could be, and it's so many games played between these two teams. I have a big question for you, Trid. Do you count Overwatch League preseason towards overall match records? What do you think?
I would say yes, because like it's an all-time Overwatch League, and preseason would count in that.
Okay, then by that definition, I will now proclaim that this is El Clasico number 25. It's been 24 matches played between these two teams in the league's history. I've said it many times before, I will say it again. It is the most rivaled story between any two teams in all of Overwatch League. Only two teams have played this many games against each other. No other two teams, in terms of their specific matchup, has gone this distance. And the record currently stands, including preseason, 14 for Shanghai, 10 for Seoul, the most recent win being Shanghai versus Seoul. But Seoul actually did beat Shanghai 2 times this year as well. Now, despite this being a bit of an El Clasico matchup, our last 2 meetings between these two teams have been 3-0 fairs. Previous to that, we've had a lot of map 5s, had a lot of 3-1s in there as well. Let's hope that this one can go beyond a 3-0 this time around. But I will say, Tred, even though we did have a 3-0 last time, it was still fairly competitive from Seoul, the losing side.
Let's take a look at that Seoul roster, see what made it so competitive in that 3-0. So he's going to be starting up today for them, I imagine. It's probably going to be what we've seen a lot this stage. There is Stalker, Fitz, Smurf, Prophet, and Vindame to line out the roster. Like I said, it might be the last time we see Prophet on support in this stage if any of the changes come through, so we don't have a Junker Queen meta. We might see Prophet back on damage, who knows?
And it's a really interesting thought process as well, because it's like, well, if Prophet goes back on towards DPS as expected for Countdown Cup, what does that mean for the rest of the DPS players? Because currently we're starting with 3 DPS players for the Seoul Dynasty. You have Stalker, Fitz, and Prophet. One of these 3 members is going to unfortunately have to go back to the bench once we head back into a more standard meta where Prophet doesn't have to play in the Brig. As a reminder, Eris is on the roster now as well, transferred from the Houston Outlaws. He's still waiting to play his first game for the Seoul Dynasty, which probably won't be until the Countdown Cup begins. It's going to be rough because I think we're starting to fall in love with this particular lineup here, but we know Prophet has so much to offer, and a lot of that does come through on the DPS side of things. Speaking of which, the Shanghai Dragons have been absolutely dominant from their specific POV of their DPS players. Take a look at their opening lineup here. Very predictable. Run the same 5. They run the entire stage through. No more are we juggling through a bunch of different members. Moon is not just subbing in members in and out, trying to figure out what works. He knows what works. It's this starting 5.
They're all like effectively role stars of this meta. Avril, why would you interrupt with this in any capacity? Lip's been fantastic on the Sojourn, who I use the Genji Master. Void has had success on the Junker Queen, and Izayaki and Lee Jeong have been fantastic on the backline as well. Don't mess with a winning formula. They have not dropped a match in this stage during this meta. They have no reason to change things up now.
And they've only dropped 1 map, and that was the Philly Fusion, not to the Seoul Dynasty. Yeah. And to sort of recap the previous matchup, right, what happened in El Clasico number 24, which is the last match that we did play, how did this go? It was Lijiang Tower, Shanghai 3-1, Midtown, Shanghai 2-1, Gibraltar, Shanghai 6-5. So that final map of Gibraltar, very, very competitive, extremely competitive, so much so that Shanghai finished the map twice. So that's something to really think about. And Seoul nearly finished the map twice. So I don't know if we're going to get something like that again. I would love to see a repeat of Watchpoint Gibraltar. But for now, Seoul Dynasty looking for revenge. They still have a little bit to be concerned about, given they had a very close call versus the Fusion yesterday. However, Trid, I got to say, after looking at Fusion's performance today, there's a couple ways to look at that. Either Seoul, you could say, didn't perform great versus the Fusion, or Fusion are actually just insane right now. I'm more willing to believe the latter, that Fusion currently just look insane in the later part of this meta, of this stage, as you're ramping up. They did great versus Seoul, but that is not a mark against Seoul. I still think Seoul are an amazing team. Fusion very easily look like the 3rd best team here, and maybe if they beat the loser of this particular matchup, they can get even further than that. Second place is yet to await the Philadelphia Fusion, but for now, 1st and 2 seeds, Seoul versus Shanghai. We start out on Lijiang Tower.
And of course, before we jumped on to, we start off on
Oasis. We start on Oasis.
You're baited by a
It's not
tower.
Legion
I don't forgive you for that.
Yep,
You
I saw a
on the
tower.
screen.
I saw a tower. I'm like, you know what? Just going to say it's Lijiang Tower because there's a tower.
Right, starting off on Oasis city centre to kick things off, and as you saw before we jumped into the game, Who Are You has their hair in sports mode. They've got the clips in, which usually means
Did
that they're
Vindame
in
have a
the
clip?
all-powerful mode. I did not recall Vindame having clips.
No, Vindame did
know
not
Who
have
Are
a
You's
clip.
got
Oh,
clips.
clip advantage. Hashtag clip advantage. Okay,
Going to the
okay.
Shanghai Dragons at the moment. We'll get a check-in. Can we get a player box on Vindame as soon as possible to see if the clips are in? But they're rolling over and coming out on identical compositions and fighting over the Mega. Who Are You taking it to the Seoul Dynasty, playing very far forward, but now the rotations come in around the jump and the bounce house. Where are the supports going? Up and over the top. Profit backing away. Needs to because they have no HP, and Void's been deleted somehow.
Yeah, with, I don't know what happened there. Shanghai Dragons trying to chase down Profit. They end up losing their tank instead. That's going to be the opener first play coming through in favor of the Seoul Dynasty. Fitz getting a lot of damage done that you can be very sure that his rail had definitely something to do with the Void death.
Stalker cuts through. There's Smurf picking up Lige gone. Not looking strong for the Shanghai Dragons on this first round, but it is control, the first round of which. So we'll just take that first fight, see if we can get any more taxation on the outside, but I think the Dragons can make it back to the spawn room and regroup and come out as a cohesive unit.
It's a very extended opening fight as well, one that Seoul Dynasty actually capped in the middle of. So when we talk about Seoul Dynasty getting an early start that really benefits them, I think this is the best possible start. You don't get 5 kills, but you do get 4. You get a cap as well, and all 4 of those kills are kind of staggered out to get maximum respawn distance and time.
Take the same path they did last time, Avril. Try and move over to the Mega, but they are split now in a 2-3 unit. Before we reconvene around the point once they clear out the stragglers in the high ground. Brogan shot from Lip, not going to connect, but he's got Fitz in his sights.
Look at Lige on ult charge, by the way.
Yeah,
With
pulling
the first
ahead
ultimate.
80%.
Sound barrier way ahead of Stalker despite losing. Lige has managed to get a lot of ult charge here. Very important for tempo. Might even be a tempo beat. Unless they track Stalker's blade properly. You have to watch for that. Fitz maybe a little bit of trouble, but survives.
It'd be so risky to use it aggressively though, Avril. They've lost Smurf. This is not going to be good for them. Cut through from Who Are You. This is the flip without a doubt. And if you're Seoul Dynasty, you're just going to have to take this one. You can't really fight this one back, and you're going to have to build out. And you've got your overclock ready. You're going to have your blade and your beat for the next engagement. 68% on the first cap though. Nothing to scoff your teeth at.
It's a long time to get a fight win, but at least Dragons get a very clean fight win, right? They don't lose any players there. They don't have to spend their only ultimate available, so it ends up being cheap economy-wise, and you get to save the sound barrier, most importantly, for Stalker's Blade, which will come through in this next engagement. Now, Who Are You? Not that far off. Vindame already prepped up to counter that when available. Shanghai Dragons, first defense now on board.
See how they roll out with this one. Double support ultimates are available. Very muted. Here's a Fitz with the overclock. Takes out his Yaki. After the rally was popped as well. That's a wasted ultimate. That's a one fight. So efficient from the Dynasty. They just used the overclock to make it work, and they get an ultimate. So they trade it out equally and will get the flip back in their favor. Fantastically played.
A little bit of a late kill Lige on there, but he was also trying to stall out the actual percentage points. So, but a give and trade, just slowing things down for the Seoul Dynasty, allowing Shanghai Dragons to come in for a final engagement here as we force final fight. And talk about cheap fights, talk about economic game here. Seoul Dynasty, they get that in spades. They have Fitz pop and overclock, a single ultimate use. They even cancel out the rally from Iziaki, so it's a 1-for-1 ult trade with Shanghai Dragons losing. And Lige not going to pull the sound back because he knew that he didn't have to. Now they'll use the beat.
Blade for blade, beat for beat. Rally still available for Profit. That's going to be popped at the end there to get an overlap of the support. Void runs through, fights for. Smurf hasn't used theirs yet, and I think they might all get a chance to. He's going to find themselves dropping before they can bring it to the field. Shanghai Dragons, 4 versus 3 in their favor at the moment. No ults available on the field. Stalkers going down low. Who Are You's on the hunt, misses the dash. Just to find that kill at the end there. Good support from Vindame to stop the hunt. Now Shanghai Dragons have control. It's 99% favored for the Dynasty.
And I know there's no Cassie in this game, but Void versus Smurf, Showdown at high noon, and it's Void that will pull the revolver first. That rampage was exactly what Shanghai Dragons needed. Now Lip needs to try and get it done on this overclock. Smurf only gets 3, but it might be enough. Should be 2 supports down.
They're trading back and forth despite having the rampage in effect right now. They've got both supports up for the Seoul Dynasty though, so should be able to sustain this tank
Seoul
line.
should have it.
They have to deal with Lip's damage. Should be able to. They've just found Lige gone. I think you're going to have Lip get on point, they're going to go down. Seoul have their favor. Overtime ticking down. First round going away to the Dynasty.
Yeah, successful there from Smurf. It's a 3-man rampage. 2 members got taken down there. It's, I believe, at the end, something like a 3 versus 3 or 2 versus 3. But Seoul have Smurf and 2 supports alive. Shanghai Dragons only have 1 support. Lip's still in there, but can only do so much. Can't get another kill. And for the Shanghai Dragons, unfortunately, they will not be able to hold on, and I credit a lot of the success for the Seoul Dynasty in that first 68%, 60 or so percent in terms of an early lead that they had. Took a while for the Shanghai Dragons to come back into play. That opening line of neutral, again, 4 kills, 0 deaths, staggered kills as well, and Seoul got the maximum time on the actual cap available there as well. They had something like 20% plus as they got the 4 kills, right? So everything going flawless for them at the very early neutral. That's the kind of start that Seoul Dynasty have to be able to snowball with that Shanghai Dragons can't catch up on.
How has Fitz gone down this early already? How have they managed to get away with that one? After Fitz removed Shanghai Dragons have the definitive list. Surely it's got to be like a deflect on a railgun shot to get that chunk immediately like that, right?
You'd be surprised. A Genji with, you know, perfect mechanics here can just sort of dash in and combo you down. So I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if Lip actually had a bit of a play in there as well, but in either case, it will be another 5v4 as Prophet will go down.
And who are you? Once again, hunting all these stragglers on the exit. Should be able to escort them safely back to the spawn area at least. Still in range to get some poke shots, try and get some minuscule amounts of ult charge to have a marginal difference. Shanghai Dragons, 30%, they're in control at the moment.
It's been at least small deaths for the Seoul Dynasty, right? They haven't been team wiped. They haven't had to wait too long for a bunch of different members to respawn. Shanghai have only had a couple of kills ahead. They're not running too far ahead in terms of ultimates yet. It's a silver lining for Seoul, and now they get the first blood.
Let's cut down. 2 trades answered back though. There's no damage needed on the side of Seoul Dynasty. Tanks and backline.
They should chase Smurf.
And they're blocking them.
They got to chase Smurf.
Vindame should be able to go down here. Nice headshot there from Lip. Smurf is just isolated though. Grab the Mega. Good move. Stops the burst of healing. Smurf goes down. So Lip has picked up all of those final blows as well. Avril, look at how charging ahead with ult charge against Fitz.
Yeah. I don't know if Smurf got booed, but from my perspective, it looked like he chose to drop down into the hole. That's going to be a big mistake from Smurf because it actually staggers him out. He doesn't have the mobility to escape, and Dragons doing the exact thing that I believe that they should do strategically. Chase down Smurf. He cannot escape. He is definitely dead, and he will be staggered. That's maximum time gained by Dragons. We talk about Seoul on City Center having a 60% advantage. Now Dragons have that going for them.
To blow any ult shot as well. It's going to change very quickly in this next engagement. Lip's on the cusp for one, so is Who Are You? Is the Arki's about to get rallied? Lee Jae-gon will have beat. A couple of answers on the Seoul Dynasty, but Shanghai Dragons are going to be the ones in control of this.
Seoul alone. Look at the HP. Smurf down.
Yeah, there's nothing they can do about this one. Fitz drops down. The only thing they've had to use right now is the overclock and the rally, and it's a team kill with no losses. For the Shanghai Dragons at 90%. They're going to have to sprint back to the point if they want to have any hope of triggering overtime for this round. But look at the spawn close. They're going to try and do it. Smurfs switched over to the Doomfist just to touch and manages to do so before dropping down. Team should be able to get back in position. But yeah, you've now got Smurf. You're going to hope for the blade. Who Are You is going to cut off the reinforcements. There's a rally from Prophet being used. Vindame drops the beat as well. Double support ultimates used. Lee Jae-gon has their own. Void with the Rampage. Only finding Fitz, who's got the overclock, but they're out of the fight. They can't find the angles to join in on this one. And overtime is trickling down. They find Lee Jae-gon, but there's not enough bodies. This is Shanghai Dragons walking away with this round. Surely you don't have the to get the flip here.
There's no support though, so Shanghai Dragons have to be considerate here. If Fitz and Smurf can get more damage on, they could clutch it out, but not going to happen. Fitz the last one surviving there. It doesn't matter whether he touches or not. It's a 3 versus 1. Shanghai Dragons, no Iziaki, no Lee Jae-gon. Doesn't matter. The 5v4 was worth it. They decided to focus down Smurf on the Doomfist coming back in to enable the touch. He's the first one dead. They have a 5v4 to start with. The Shanghai Dragons ride the momentum from 0 to 100. They respond big time on our second round there for University. They lose City Center, but 100-0 finish on that second round, that's domination.
Angry. They're angry they lost the round, Avril. And they're taking it out on Seoul Dynasty by being able to do that 100-0. Now moving over to Garden's final round of Oasis. See who takes the actual map and gets the first score in this series. TP's out. They rotate round to the point, no variation of the composition. I doubt we're going to see very much of that in this entire series.
Okay, let's see how the opening neutral goes now. One has gone towards Seoul, one has gone towards Dragons. This one's looking Dragons.
Yeah, Prophet, Smurf going down so early, it just makes the fight untenable for the Dynasty. And then Lip also gets a sniper at max range to find Vindame. Fitz, oh, okay, gets a railgun to Lijiang, so they get one answer back, but it doesn't change the outcome of the fight, and it means first cap goes over to the Dragons.
Yeah, I think that was something like 4 kills there. Stalker was the only one that made it out alive. And we talked about University being not the worst opening scenario for Seoul Dynasty, given that they just kind of lost to single members twice in a row. The time is a bit of a factor there, but otherwise, they're not feeding Ult Charge. This time around, Dragons get the opening cap, they get the opening fight win, and they get 4 kills. They lose one, but Lijiang gone. He's a Lucio. He gets back in time. No issues there. Dragons, let's see how they snowball this one. Stalker notably does have a bit more Ult Charge than Who Are You? Iziaki's, yeah, got booped.
Does mean we have an advantage for Seoul Dynasty now, 5 versus 4. Flip nearly comes in, but they put some bodies on the ground to contest it. Stalker low, Lip answers back, that's now 4v4. Oh, Who Are You's got as well. Reinforcement should be coming in from the spawn room. It's still an advantage for the Seoul Dynasty, and they're going to press it.
What a shot.
Fitz finds that flick onto Lip. Lijiang's removed, 40% flip coming in for the Seoul Dynasty.
Yeah, that opening kill into Iziaki. Might need to check up on how that one happened. I'm assuming it is a boot. Nothing came up with a kill feed, obviously, in terms of an actual kill credit. But Iziaki off the map, 4 versus 5. We trade the Genjis. Here it is. This should be the replay now. Take a look at Iziaki. Oh, no, that was not a boot. That was just a mistake from Iziaki, unfortunately.
Yeah, overshot the shield bash on Stalker, didn't find a connection, and the distance just took him straight off the map. Oh well, we start this fight as we did last time with a dead Brigitte. Prophet's off the field. Stalker's followed up as well. Fitz under pressure from Who Are You, gets cut down. That seemed quite effortless from Shanghai Dragons, if I'm honest with you, Avril.
Yeah, I mean, that was like a team ace as well, where everyone sort of contributed to a kill each. Who Are You with a brilliant 1v1 versus Fitz, full confidence. He knows he's not going to lose that one. Has the mechanics to back it up, finds a Mega to walk through with. And still waiting for ultimates. Would you believe we're like, 80%, 90% through combined between both teams, and no ultimates have arrived. Lip kills Fitz, and that was the only ultimate available for Seoul.
Yeah, Prophet gets away just in time. Everyone's outside the range of that disruptor shot. Just buys them more percentage, doesn't it, Avril? 75% and climbing at this rate. They have to run into the Dragon's ultimates. Lip with an overclock. That's terrifying to deal with.
And look at this, Vindame doesn't have beat. He doesn't have the sound barrier. So when Who Are You pulls Blade, when Void goes for Rampage, Vindame's just dead. He can't even get the beat.
Nice answer back there. Deflect coming in from Stalker, I think. Who Are You pulls out the Blade. Cutting down Smurf. Goes for the backline, 92%. There's no answer here for the Seoul Dynasty. No one's going to be able to go and get onto this point. They're sending someone down. Prophet went for the last touch. Vindame is on point after respawning from the early kill. Triggers overtime and now has to play the stall game. How long can they channel their inner zest and keep this going alive for reinforcements? Oh, it's not looking good now. Stalker gets onto the point once again. It's a cycle of bodies to try and delay the inevitable, but I don't think they're going to turn this one. Shanghai Dragons, they secure the first map, take an early lead in this series.
Yeah, it looks all but too comfortable for the Shanghai Dragons towards the end there. 100-0 on University. Not that much better from Seoul Dynasty, unfortunately, on our third and final round of Gardens. A little bit more to play for, a few more fights won, a few more kills actually coming on through. I don't think Vindame's sound barrier towards the end there would have made too much difference, whether that was going to be an Ajax or not. The Shanghai Dragons, the overall record for the Summer Showdown tournament now in terms of maps, Trid, is 22-1. They have still only lost a single map this entire stage, that was the Philly Fusion, and their winning record continues to be bolstered from 21-22.
Let's see if they can go ahead and get it up to 24 by the end of this series. See how many maps they lose as well. We're going to go to a break. When we come back, map number 2, it's going to be Seoul Dynasty's pick. Welcome back to the Summer Showdown. We've got Shanghai Dragons in the lead after their map victory on Oasis. And we're now about to jump into our second map of the series, and of course Seoul Dynasty's choice, and we'll bring you that very shortly. But for now, it seems like, I don't know where it came from, Avril, but round number 3 of Oasis, Shanghai Dragons got the download, and they all just suddenly got on the same page, and they, towards the end of that round in particular, did start to make things look effortless against the Seoul Dynasty, despite that rocky start on City Center.
I mean, that's why they call them the Shang AI, right? They will be able to download you eventually. They are the hive mind, and at this stage, the deeper in a particular map or even a particular series you go, it seems the more powerful Shanghai Dragons become. We saw a very nice early win from Seoul Dynasty on, what was it, City Center, right? They're the 60-something percentage early lead to gain, and Shanghai Dragons struggled to catch up, but once we got to the second and third rounds of Oasis, it was lights out. Shanghai Dragons 100-0 response on University particularly was just powerful to behold, and we are going to go back to another Hollywood. It seems like we've seen a few Hollywoods so far in the regional tournament, and back to Hollywood we go.
Pop quiz, Avril, did Vendame have clips in?
I didn't see any. I didn't see it.
I was paying close attention, didn't see any clips, so clip diff in favor of Shanghai Dragons confirmed.
Alright, clip that. Clip that for no clips. And right now, we look at the past couple matches here. Again, the rivalry between Seoul and Shanghai. Last two matches have been 3-0. Seoul got a 3-0. Shanghai got a 3-0. Current record this year is actually 2-2. So Shanghai, sorry, that's complete lights. 3-2. Shanghai have won 3 times. Seoul have won twice this year in 2022. So it could be 4-2 or it could be tied up 3-3. So look to seeing now how the Seoul Dynasty can respond to this particular map. That's some interesting tech as well, by the way. You see Shanghai Dragons TPing Lip over towards the side angle to see if he can get a shot, and then TPs him straight back in.
Very cheeky. Doesn't give them anything. Fitz rolling out on the Ash for this defense as well. So we're finally seeing a deviation from the mirror.
Yeah, that's a Seoul specialty.
Is a dead Lige gone also a Seoul specialty? I don't know. Might be.
That's a Shanghai specialty, actually.
Well, it does cause Shanghai to go into a partial retreat. They're not all the way out of the woods yet, Avril, but they are hiding away from Seoul Dynasty while those reinforcements come in off the back of that first kill.
Our frog ran in and died. Yes, quite enjoyable. It's the average Shanghai Dragons fan, and honestly, I respect it.
As they
Lip
sip
right
on some
now
tea or some wine.
On some critical HP. A lot of members on Dragons are critical HP, actually. They might have to just do a little bit of a soft reset here to heal up.
Dynamite's keeping him under constant pressure as well. Keep having that damage over time, ticking away. But it's finally time for Lip to pull the shot off. Gets Profit. Stalk is taken down by Who Are You, and now Who Are You will rotate round to the point. Lip finds Fitz's second headshot of the fight with the railgun. And Void just wins that tank duel just because he has overwhelming support, and Shanghai Dragons get control of the payload and move on to the escort section of the map.
And it's like the first early fight loss didn't even really affect them, right? It's like, alright, we'll lose Lige gone, we'll just chill out for a bit of a second here. No one else actually dies. That was the only death so far for the Shanghai Dragons. They just recollect all their members, regroup properly, come back into play. Who Are You? Just exits as the doors open, so times it well enough. The Shanghai Dragons also have, by the way, the first ultimate available in Iziaki's rally. Fitz is also very close on that Bob, and that's kind of the benefit of playing Ashe sometimes. The ultimate does charge quite quick.
Yeah, just able to constantly harass with the dynamite as well. It's very easy when you don't have the sight lines and just that straight up damaging. It's just ridiculous when you can start using the ADS. Quite comfortable up on the high ground for now. No doubt PYU is going to get in their face in a second. Lip went for the shot. Bob's going to come out early. They're really going to play on tempo here. Right in the middle, gets the beat out from Lige gone. BYU still found Profit despite this, so the supports are falling behind. Bob's just peppering away in the distance into Void, actually. So thankfully that's the member you do want the attention on. Fitz takes out Who Are You, Stalker pulls out a blade, find anyone before Lip gets the headshot down. Everyone's being shut down so quickly here. Avril payload only momentarily stopped because of Bob, and now it's back in pursuit. Izayaki's rally's about to expire. Lip will have the overclock for the next engagement.
I think the silver lining is that Seoul don't lose too much. They kind of play in the double ultimates, right? Stalker gets instantly blown up, and we see the damage from Lip. He was railing Stalker down from range. Stalker can't get a successful blade at all. Very important. Shanghai spend 2 support ultimates for that. And now we get to the final fight of the... Here comes the overclock. Smurf as well. Triple hit on the Rampage.
Yeah, 3 for 3 on those Rampages. Avril. Profit's going to take out Void, and it looks like Profit and Seoul Dynasty are the ones to capitalize on this one. Finally shutting down the momentum of the Shanghai Dragons push. And they don't lose anyone in that chaos as well. Big win for the Dynasty. They keep it short, just shy of point B.
Yep. And they, they being the Shanghai Dragons here, didn't have the extra support ultimate to block out the Rampage. Both Void and Smurf actually got a 3-man hit on the Rampage, but Vindame still had Sound Barrier available. Pops in the Sound Barrier, wasn't extra threatened by Huayu's blade, and strangely enough, this is a bit of a, uncharacteristic moment for Huayu, but he's got a slow blade coming through. This has taken a while for Huayu to build, but now he gets to use it for free. Profit can counter with the rally, but how successful will it be? So far, not so successful.
No, that boot to delay Who Are You doesn't really change the outcome all that much. 3 members taken down just from him alone. Make it a 4
clean,
with the shurikens onto Fitz. Yeah, it's looking pretty silly right now. Not quite the world record pace we were seeing, or the tied second place we were seeing from Fusion on the last time we saw Hollywood today. However, still very quick. 4 minutes left in the time bank as they're moving on to point C, waiting for the Dynasty to aggress and try and take the space.
I mean, despite Huayu taking a while to get Blade in that particular, so far on this attack, it's just so enjoyable seeing his POV and his mechanics, his outplays, beating Fitz in that 1v1, dodging out the dynamite, having a dash reset, all of the above, right? Shanghai Dragons now pushing through. They do have to deal with Fitz's Bob coming online. Stalker as well has a Blade. Legion will be able to match that. Huayu on the hunt, on the back line, Fitz the target.
He's drawing focus as well, away from the front line. Smurf, getting a little bit of attention, but not enough to make you start worrying yet. Lip just opened up the fight for a kill on the Fitz. Don't know how he keeps finding these ones.
Supported, that was the only ult.
Yeah, B comes in as well. Just going to seal the deal here for the Dragons in this fight. Smurf will have to drop down as well.
Stalker's dead?
That's the saving Chris. Well, you're just going to have him. He was the only member alive on the point. He's by himself. The Bob is just going to be the only stall tactic here. It's very easy to remove. It's a static target. You get booped away. You get headshot a bunch of times with the overclock. Profit gets there just in time, but this is that stagger we're talking about. It's pretty much done. They're cleaning up Seoul so quickly. Dynasty finished 254 in the time bank. So, still very quick.
And that's the thing, it's not a world record. This is not Fusion versus Guangzhou, but it's a staggering pace, and you can see that reflected by the fact that Seoul never had a chance to pull Blade. Lee Jae-gon felt so confident to even go for a tempo beat there. The sound barrier pulled through just to allow the Shanghai Dragons to walk forward with confidence and just use a support ultimate to run at the Seoul Dynasty. And typically you'd say, okay, well, if Shanghai don't win this fight, Stalker gets to pull a free blade. The only relevant counter is off the table now for the Shanghai Dragons. However, look at Stalker's HP in that last fight was just being shut down. Huayu and Lip putting the damage into Stalker, had no chance to pull blade. It takes him so long to respawn as well. When he does, his team is dead. He still can't pull blade, so that blade never became a factor. That was the only risk for Shanghai Dragons to deal against, and it was never a factor. Fitz, okay, he pulls through the bomb, and by the way, he was the first death. He was the most important kill. If there was one member Shanghai needed to kill, it was Fitz, and they got him down. It was a late Bob, and the Bob was booped off the payload, never really stalled the payload, and instantly fragged out by Lip. So it's a good ultimate, but it's also just free territory, free real estate for the Shanghai Dragons to clear.
Dynasty going to the defense. It looks like Seoul Dynasty Dragons go on defense. Seoul Dynasty look like they're going to roll out with the Sojourn this time rather than going for the Ashe flavor. Hopefully be a little bit more offensive. No shenanigans like Dragons had with fast TPs on the Widowmaker, but they will still roll out all the same.
Yeah. I just think, like, when you credit to everybody in Dragons, but specifically Lip and Huayu, they just look like the best specific members on their roles. Now, you could argue that players like MN3 might be better than Lip so far. Lip's very consistent, though. Huayu is just the king of Genji right now, by none. I don't think a single other player touches Huayu. This is going to be Seoul Dynasty now, faking the rotations, now coming back through main. Shanghai Dragons not perturbed.
Still going to stay strong on that payload for now. Vindame goes down low. Dragons, I think they're sensing the weakness at the moment and they press forward. Not too much though, they're very tempered. Just playing their game for the time being. Dash forward from Stalker, tries to find a connection for the extra damage and Kate takes some space away. Here's the counter from Shanghai Dragons. Look at that, they saw the dash, they saw the uncohesive unit and they were like, right, time to go boys, put on the speed, walk forward, and the Dynasty's offense has crumbled.
Yeah, they just rush down Smurf. You saw that from Dragons. Once they turn up the heat, they get the speed going, and it's Smurf the primary target. You have to be a little bit concerned now, though. With Fitz's late counter left, Dragons do have to pull back. The concern now is, do they lose a tick or not? How much do the Dragons actually give up? Look at Void's positioning on the side. You'll notice that, okay, he's actually been found. I was going to say, if he doesn't get found here, this is a great position for Void to be in, but he takes a risk. He gets found. It's a 5v4, no tank.
It's a good opening for the Dynasty. They're on the position. Shanghai Dragons. Oh, Vindame's gone. Okay, Lip doing Lip things once more. Lijigon gets answered back. Lucius have been traded. I think they bought enough time potentially for Void to come out here and potentially go to the defense. Izayaki is isolated. They will be going down. No way they lose this to Stalker. Point's been captured while this is going on. Staggered deaths as well, which is going to mean point B is quite difficult.
And this is where I got to put some commentary on Void's decision making. I don't know if he chose to go for the hidden flank, just lurking, right? I don't know if he had time to rotate back towards his own spawn. He probably should have gone back to his own spawn for safety. It's a very high risk to go and try to, I guess, lurk in the pack room on the side. And if you get sniffed out, if you get caught, you are dead. You are 100% dead. They're 5 versus 4. And now it's another 5 versus 4 as Lip takes down, well, Fritz rather takes down Lip, so it just slows down Dragons from reapproaching. And if you are Dragons, if you don't have Void alive, you cannot retake A, you cannot contest A, and the Fitz kills just keep coming through.
Just keeps weaving those headshots in. Just buys advantage for his team every time. Overclock and the high ground available for him. Stalker's got Blade.
Look at the positioning. Seoul have now full high ground control. Dragons are coming out of spawn with no map control whatsoever. Payload is coming around the final couple of corners now on towards the final straight, past the county jail. And this is where Seoul's positioning is absolutely powerhouse, and it's about to be 4 offense on both sides.
Clock pop. Angle taken from Fitz. He's playing some Overwatch on them, quite literally. Who I use Blade that tears him from that space. He's playing very mindful. Not pushing forward, not pushing too hard with their ultimate. Lip returning the favor with the overclock. Doesn't find anything as well. Just scare tactics right now. All bark and no bite with these ultimates, Avril.
Well, everyone's just disengaging, right? We have the sound barrier from Vindane, the Prophet rally layered in as well. Both teams respecting each other's ultimates. Seoul not going to push into Overclock and Blade. Shanghai not going to push into double support ultimates. Now it's going to be sound barrier versus Stalker Blade, and Stalker slashing green HP.
Yeah, it's just lots of cleave damage as well, but it's not enough to break through all the shields that came in there for Lijigon's beat. So they're trading Smurf for Izayaki at the time being. 2 for 2 still, so it's a 3-on-3 on the payload. Who are you? Solo holding.
Smurf is alive though.
Comes in for reinforcements. There we go. Lip's going to take out a couple of members as he's going to walk it back in. Stalker finally deals with Lip. Who are you versus Stalker on the point? We'll get the kill right at the end here. Reinforcements come out of the spawn room. Spawn advantage for Shanghai, which means they're able to hold the payload for now. But I think the reinforcements for Dynasty are going to get there a little bit faster, perhaps, or roughly at the same time, just because of how quickly they were dying.
It's a very cool anime battle. It's Stalker versus Who Are You, and Stalker is going to win the 1 versus 1, but with Izayaki respawning, and by the way, touching, I think about a meter or so left, about 150. It's not enough for Seoul Dynasty to sneak a payload cap in. Seoul, however, still maintain high ground control. I think that's very important.
Just the 2 there. Rampage is countered 2 against 3 when it comes to that impact. Lijigon will be feeling the hurt of the Rampage. Prophet has been converted, but Vindame and Smurf will stay alive for now. Dynasty get the advantage in the fight. Just declare out Who Are You and Lip, and then they will get onto point C and get themselves a time bank extension.
Yep. Very cool Void Rampage, but Smurf's Rampage as well, equally good. In fact, Smurf's Rampage is going to allow the Seoul Dynasty to pick up a number of frags. Prophet getting very active in the kill feed. This is what a DPS and Brigida looks like. 2 frags for Prophet before he dies. Allow Seoul Dynasty to maintain some player advantage, and certainly the right players alive as well as we head into now the C point push. Not going to be able to match the 254 on board for the Dragons time bank, but Seoul can still finish the map. That is the important factor now. What time bank do they have remaining at the end?
get to the end. That's also what counts. Dink there. Right click triggered them. Fitz has Overclock available. Stalker's down. Overclock needs to answer back with a big pick here from Fitz to keep the fight alive. They've lost too many already. And now they have no space to operate within. Izayaki's in their face. Shanghai Dragons reclaim control of the payload. They can really start to damage this time bank.
Okay, so this is where you talk about damaging time banks. The spawn camp would do that too. Let's see if Dragons want to commit to it or not. Half players on high ground, half players on the ground here as well. You also notice it was a very specific timing window in the last fight. Stalker and Blade Legion did not have beat, but that timing window is over. Double rallies popped, and just waiting for the Blade to come through.
Steady on. Here it comes. Overclock pop by Lip. There's a hero playing here.
Oh my god!
The flick was there, shuts down Stalker, and the punishment to the Dynasty time bank continues. He knew what he had to do there, he was set up for it, and immediately shut down the offensive from Stalker.
Yeah, I mean, just the impact kill, right? The exact kill that you need. It's been a rough game for Stalker. He was so great in his matchup versus Philly Fusion yesterday, but today, the Shanghai Dragons just have his number. He can't pull out the blade when he wants to. He misses the timing window versus Lee Jae-gon's beat in a previous fight, and now here, when he actually does pull blade, Lip just destroys him. A single rail will deny the blade, and we're back into spawn camp territory. Shanghai Dragons taking the early high ground. We talk about Seoul Dynasty being able to finish this map with time. That starts to dwindle now. Payload is receding backwards. 115 remaining. They do get Lee Jae-gon, but it's traded.
Yeah, jumps down from the top here. Fitz outside, well, what would be their spawn room, if it is, just to try and deflect Dragons away. Sub 1 minute now. This is the danger zone, because like you said, they run the risk of, even if they finish at this point, they might run out of time to have an offensive. The best they can hope for is a draw. Yeah,
so draw scenario is now on the cards for the Seoul Dynasty. But, you know, they might even get there if they don't cap. They still do have to cap. We're waiting for Smurf. He has a rampage advantage. There's nothing to counter that. Izaaki nearly on the rally, but Smurf has a window here. This could be opportunity for Seoul.
There was a lineup there. He's going to go for it. Finds two. Just Izaaki and Void. There were so many targets there, but it's enough to make it work. Void and Izaaki will get converted. Really making use of the anti-heal here. Home stretch for Seoul Dynasty. 30 seconds remaining. Shanghai Dragons, they can play for the stall outfall and guarantee that they won't lose.
And it's so big because Izaaki was on like 98%, 99%, so it doesn't have the rally to block out the rampage. Seoul will use a rampage to take control, but can they win the final fight? Fitz still coming back from spawn, about to hit the OT now. Izaaki, pop and rally, the blade is going to be next. Here comes Who Are You?
They're trying to isolate Smurf, cut him off from the rest of the team, and then they get the pick up quite easily. Fitz finds Lip with an overclock. Still alive for the Seoul Dynasty at this point. Blade gets sheep. Who Are You is down. No damage dealers available for the Shanghai Dragons right now. We're in overtime though, Avril. They've already lost the map. They're not going to be able to get the overtime. They're going to cut through. Only finds Prophet, who's rallying at the same time, and he won't be able to convert it. Void might get cut down here, uses the Carnage. Izaaki returns to the field, immediately finds Stalker. Smurf over to the Wrecking Ball just to get onto the point. And now Lip's over in the back. He has his overclock available and the sight lines. Fitz might get tagged here at the end, but Smurf is still on the point. He's going to be able to find the slam on the payload. Prophet knocks Lip back. The Seoul Dynasty still trying to push this one. Spawn advantage really helping the Dragons right now as Void comes back on the Doomfist just to try and get Smurf off of the point. They've cleared enough bodies. Stall tactics can only work for so long. Overtime as the swap comes in. They trigger it once more, but it is the last time. Shanghai Dragons secure map number 2. They're going to series point.
And what a shot coming through from Lip on a Fitz as well. That was a collateral shot that actually went through Smurf's body on the Wrecking Ball. He fired it through the body and hits Fitz on the other end. That's something that you can do with the overclock. You can't do that normally on the railgun. Only during the ultimate can you collat, and he perfectly lines up a shot through the body of an opponent. Unbelievable stuff, and Shanghai Dragons pull through despite odds looking like it might have been stacked against them in that final fight. But I dare say, even if the Seoul Dynasty do in fact cap, they would only be in a draw-only scenario because the OT was ticked over. Dragons had like nearly 3 minutes to cap on through for only 1 tick. I think Dragons put themselves in a commanding position to win map number 2, and the win record continues now from 22 to 23 and only 1 loss so far in maps.
24 on the cards for them. 1 more map to win. Shanghai Dragons could be match point for them as we head to the break. When we come back, Seoul Dynasty's last chance to stay alive in this series. Shanghai Dragons, they currently lead in their matchup against the Seoul Dynasty, and they are one map away from securing themselves a spot in tomorrow's grand final. We expected both these teams to eventually get there, or at least I will. I'll keep pushing that narrative. However, one of them can only get there first. Looking like it's going to be Seoul. They just have an escort map in the way, and of course it's Seoul Dynasty's pick, so it's a chance for them to pick a comfort position and try and build a reverse sweep from there.
It's just wild how good Shanghai look in this meta right now. They've leveled up to a level that is, I was going to say unprecedented, but funny enough, the last time I saw a team that's dominant was also Shanghai Dragons. That was last year. So it's Shanghai Dragons now kind of, once again reaching their own potential. Only they themselves can reach the potential that they have reached in the past. And they look untouchable. No other team comes close. Seoul is the next best team, and the next best team is only kind of getting somewhat competitive in maps. Granted, last time they met, Gibraltar was a lot more competitive. We don't have Gibraltar on board this time. It is going to be Dorado. That's chosen by Seoul, by the way. So Seoul want to go to Dorado. Now, I respect it because historically, Dorado has been one of Seoul's better maps. But part of the reason why Dorado was good for Seoul was because they played the Winston dive here to perfection. You can't play that currently in this particular meta, but you can go back to the Fitz Ashe if you want to, and that has been a strong comfort pick for Fitz. I don't know if I really respect it as a powerful pick overall compared to something like a Sojourn. You can see what Lip can do in the Sojourn here, and Lip is also no slouch on the Ashe either. Seoul Dynasty, they're clutching at straws. That's kind of my read on the situation here because they're in desperation mode to get anything to work, and so far, nothing is really working versus the Dragons.
Who's going to pull out that solution though, Avril? Who is going to be the change? What's going to be the change for the Seoul Dynasty to be able to find their path
Prophet
through?
Junker Queen.
Prophet Junker Queen. Are you ready for the role swap?
We've had Prophet DPS, Prophet support, come back with the Prophet tank. It's got to happen. No, not at this point in time, no, but
that'd be illegal at this point in time. Because he's officially designated as support.
Is, it's another meeting of these two teams that looks like it might end in a 3-0. We've had some very close games between Seoul Dynasty and Dragons in the past. And now in the Summer Showdown, it's been very one-sided games, which is just so strange and very uncharacteristic of the rivalry that we've had. But, sometimes that is how it goes. It's a very long rivalry, but some of the games do go one-sided. Some of them are very, very close. And as mentioned and as predicted, Fitz will start on the Ashe. Now, Lip is going to start on the Ashe as well for a little bit. We'll see if he stays on the Ashe. Ashe has a bit more value on Dorado than other maps. But if Shanghai Dragons not getting spawn held, I think Lip might be incentivized to go back on the Sojourn.
They found Vindame already, so whatever they were trying to do, whatever the change was going to be for the Seoul Dynasty, it's not been a net positive one, unfortunately. Lijigon goes low.
Oh,
the difference
no,
maker is they stay alive. Oh, no.
Stayed alive, though.
Dynamite ticking down, there's some dot damage applied, Stalker's been found as well.
Did not stay alive.
More dominance from the Shanghai Dragons.
Who are you just chases them down. You actually see Stalker dashing in towards the window. He missed the window and actually dropped down. That's critical because it affects his ability to get away from the other team, and indeed Who Are You chases them down regardless, so it's going to be a late kill. Shanghai Dragons haven't capped yet. Seoul Dynasty in position to go for one more final contest, and they need to protect Fitz as well, so they're going to come in from the side angle, which is important.
Some complaints of damage on the team through the audio cues. Fitz turns the corner, sees the Genji, turns immediately back from the corner, doesn't want to deal with that. Shout been used on the point by Dynasty, who are used very low but will survive. Well, he needs to find a health pack though. Can't play with
Lip's going to get bobbed.
at low HP. Well, he's taking out Lee Gone, so not going to have that option for the Shanghai Dragons to stay in this fight much longer. Another headshot should clear off Void, but it's Stalker to clean up instead. They've deflected the attack. Jagged Blade pulls his Izayaki back in, but Smurf can't hold that position on the corner, so will retreat and they will escape.
Strong retake. It's a really important retake from the for the Seoul Dynasty rather, and now Shanghai Dragons, despite getting the Bob online, with I believe it was Lee Jae-gon down early, no shot for Shanghai to pull through on that particular fight. Just a little bit of heal up here for Lip as Fitz is trying to catch up on the Bob, and that's the other thing, right? Shanghai Dragons are missing a bit of a timing window as Dragons go through for the secondary push. Dynasty have caught up an ult, so it will be Bob versus Bob.
There's Bob 1. Bob 2 comes out too late for the Seoul Dynasty. They've already lost Stalker. Will only repair the damage numbers, won't actually win out. The Bob versus Bob duel was strong, but Lip was the difference maker there. Rally's now popped instead, layered over top of each other. Void's in the face of Vindame. Nice shot from Lip, tags him. Prophet
Cap.
wants to get into the fight with the rally. He's been denied. And like you said, Avril, there is the cap for point A. Coach Gun just stalling a little longer for them to get that through.
And speaking of stalling longer, I mean, if the fight goes a little bit longer there and still have more teammates alive, I think Stalker pulls Blade and anything can go after that. At minimum, you pull Lee Jae-gon's sound barrier in response, which is important for ult trading purposes. Seoul Dynasty don't get to discover what that Blade could have looked like though. Stalker dies at 99, and even if he had the Blade, too many members of Seoul down. They can't touch because Smurf isn't there. Stalker's probably the next one available to touch. They don't even bother going for it. Fight is definitely over. Seoul resetting towards the high ground here. They begin with Fitz on that high ground immediately, but this, make no mistake, is going to be a Blade fight.
Keep an eye on who pulls it first, who has the impact. High ground in favor of Seoul Dynasty right now. They're
Better for
raining
Stalker.
down bullets.
Harder for who are you, better for Stalker here. High ground advantage is big for Seoul.
Well, Lee Jae-gon takes a lot of damage before jumping down. Who are you? Tries to assault the high ground and drop down from Stalker. Is that advantage going to be enough as the beats are both dropped in return? Bark and no bite for those blades, unfortunately. Stalker's now expires as well. Just under game off high ground. Rampage from Void only finds Smurf. Counter from Smurf only finds Lee Jae-gon. One-man rampages on either side. Mr. Carnage to take out the second support of Shanghai Dragons. Yeah, you have the Lucio here for the Seoul Dynasty to be able to support them. There's no supports for Shanghai Dragon right now.
And Shanghai Dragons still got a lot of push despite having no support, so Seoul backed out. They weren't confident in winning the 3v3 despite having an extra support in there. Didn't want to take the risk. I can respect it, because if you do take a risk and you do lose a member there, you are waiting for respawns, and Shanghai can cap. Here, you allow Shanghai to get a few extra meters. Payload is under the bridge. In fact, it's slightly ahead of the bridge now. The Seoul Dynasty have all 5 alive. It's Bob versus Bob again. We'll see which Bob gets the better of the positioning.
Nice boot back there from Lee Jae-gon. It stops the Bob from getting into optimal positioning, but Void will be cut down by the Carnage all the same. Bob versus Bob in the corner. Yep, classic. It allows these teams to have a neutral and honest fight in which the Seoul Dynasty are winning. Headshots coming through from Fitz and Vindane, clearing out the last couple of stragglers with the rest of the team.
So big that they got Void down first. Smurf just walks up. Seoul Dynasty will win that fight off the back of that tank kill. The Shanghai Dragons and actually the Seoul Dynasty is on. Neither will be pulling the rally through in the fight. We are extremely equal in terms of which ultimates have been used at what time. Prophet is actually going to pull the extra one here. Both rallies now pop. The Seoul trying to go for a spawn camp, but I think they may be overstepped here. They're trying to back out. Dragons are chasing.
Yeah, lots of critical HP on Seoul Dynasty, being repaired nicely by the rally and some armor packs. Dash forward there, Lee Jae-gon actually ran straight into Smurf. They're very low, and there's going to be the pickup. Sports trading 2 for 2 right now, 3 for 3. Who are you, hunting Stalker? They were isolated, turns the attention to Vindame, has Blade for the next fight, doesn't want to pop it in this one. They're at 8 HP, someone hide. Oh, she comes in just in time to keep him healthy. Dragons rotate round to the point. Into that final section of this section.
It's a significant slowdown though. Look at the time, about a minute remaining now. So Seoul Dynasty have successfully slowed down the Shanghai Dragons, who are not quite as dominant as they were in previous maps, and that's credit to Seoul. They really stepped it up for Dorado. This is kind of the hidden weapon, right? Why they choose Dorado. They feel confident on this map, and maybe they can feel good enough to collect themselves a B-point defense. We're still waiting the plays coming through. Who are you at the Vindane is a major blow. Who are you can pull Blade here without any impact on the other side. They can't counter it.
Yeah, no mitigation for Dynasty on this one. Who are you with the cut through, the cleaves there, aiming for Smurf, gets a bit extra damage off to the side. Prophet isolated Blade. Comes out from Stalker, jumps back into the fight, finds the Yagi, takes out Lee Jae-gon. No support, Stalker trying to stem this bleeding right now. As reinforcements will come in, turns his attention to Lip not having any of his funny business. Dynamite from afar, not enough to get the damage. Oh, it was enough to get the damage over time, and Lip just burns down. He can't touch though. He's not in a position to contest. Rampage is back into the fight, Vindame and Smurf. It's not enough.
That's it. That's going to be it. I mean, Lip's not here, can't use the Bob. Shanghai Dragons can barely touch. They probably won't touch at all. Maybe the Lucio comes up through. Lee Jae-gon is going to attempt to go for it. Will pay for it with his own life. And for the Shanghai Dragons, who is up next? How can they even win the situations? 4 versus 5. They still don't have Void.
Yeah, they're going to run into this Rampage as well. Smurf cuts through, only finds the Yagi. Void gets a pick on the Doomfist. That's huge if you're going to switch over to an unorthodox pick like this for the stall. Stalker nearly goes down. They're turning it around. What is going on, Avril? They just need to find one more. Who are you? Lip and Void refused to go down then. They refused for Dorado to end.
What
And
an
able to switch
insane
back and
clutch for the
reset.
Dragons. That is incredible. Dragons have done it again. They managed to clutch them through what looks like an impossible fight. They had nobody alive. Legion died straight away. Void still coming back from spawn. It was like 3 players there for the Dragons trying to contest. Lip died late as well. Don't forget, the Bob comes in from long range. Who are you finds 3? How does Who are you get 3 there?
All the work that was set up there from Void at the end, just like on the Doomfist, getting that residual damage. Who are you then picks them all off. What a mental shatterer for the Seoul Dynasty. They thought they had that in the bag there towards the end.
I thought they had it in the bag.
I think everyone did. It's probably doing wonders for their mental right now. Dragons still running strong. Rallies traded out. Shouts as well on the payload. Fitz looking down, trying to keep his head covered while he reloads and then opens fire back up. Dynamite into the middle of the field. Profit going down low after using the rally. Will be able to sustain himself back up. Wait for it, 20 seconds. Who are you earns this blade in that overtime. Lip's gone down. He now needs to use it to save the Dragons on this offense. Izayaki's gone. Bob is keeping him under check. Too many members have gone down here. This is not going to be something that Who Are You can save. He's popped off by Fitz. But well, Avril, they had no right getting this far based on how B was going. But now they have to defend the Seoul Dynasty from this point onward.
I mean, it doesn't even matter that Dragons lose that fight. It doesn't even matter that Who Are You doesn't get the pull blade, right? They get the push far more than what they really deserve to get. The clutch was incredible on B. We're not expecting them to clutch twice in a row, but clutching B was unbelievable for the Shanghai Dragons to even allow them to get towards C, and they are on the final corner. That is so dependable. Let's take a look at Who Are You again in that final fight. And he gets 3 kills here. Fitz, boom, Stalker.
Reset,
just the resets coming on through. Who Are You going in? Okay, there is a bunch of damage done by other members there, but Who Are You with the insane cleanups there? The 1v1 versus Fitz, and he is every single time. Never been afraid to check Fitz. Go for the 1 versus 1s. Take down Fitz. He's got the confidence to say, I will beat Fitz in a 1v1 every time.
That confidence is exuding for the Shanghai Dragons. Not only through the mathematical advantage of having 1 less person to deal with, but they're also being able to play confidently. A little bit of moments of overconfidence, I would say, on Dorado offense. However, kind of justified at the end with that clutch right there. So now defense for the Shanghai Dragons. The line in the sand has been drawn. The entry point to the finals tomorrow has been drawn by Shanghai Dragons. Seoul Dynasty, if they cross that line, we go to another map. If they do not, they have to face against the Philadelphia Fusion to earn their spot in that final. A rematch of earlier in the tournament.
You know, and that's been, 2 map 5 so far in this stage between Seoul and Philly, but let's not get too far ahead of ourselves.
Yes.
See if Seoul have anything left to play through. You'll notice they go for the typical TP play. Say typical, they actually don't take the high ground here. That's a very conscious choice. They're trying to make the rotations through on towards the sort of outside courtyard area to make some high ground control happen. Swap sides, and Dragons will go towards the payload. Seoul go towards the high ground. Lip get caught by Dynamite there.
Yeah, and it's kind of dangerous because Stalker was still playing around the spawn. If he kept low, Stalker could have gone a cut through there and got an easy pickup. He's trying to do the same thing to Izayaki right now, though. A couple more shurikens. Support has to filter in. Izayaki's off the map. Don't know if that was a conscious reset or just in the chaos ends up going. This is just a little bit of tiny Overwatch on the coastal while Seoul Dynasty's winning the fight.
They are winning. They are down to 2 members, so they can't really continue this any further. Stalker has no HP. Waiting for his supports to heal him up. Dragons will reset there. I'm going to assume that maybe Izayaki just shield bashes off again. We did actually see that on Oasis.
Yeah,
so
Oasis, yeah.
It's not impossible. He just does it twice in a row. In any case, Shanghai Dragons are not too upset with that. They get a 1-minute sort of time purchase there. They will slow down the Seoul Dynasty. They don't really get hard farm for ultimates. They don't lose the fight in a big way. They get the back out with the rest of their members alive. Now they get the continuous skirmish through. Fitz in a lot of trouble here. Could be down.
Yeah, he's been removed. DJ gone. 2nd kill onto Profit. 2-point trade for... Right, that's 2 for 2 now for the Dragons. The fight continues. Stalker doing a lot of work in this fight. Still quite even. And the respawn's going to have to come in for a next engagement. Nearly 2 minutes, nearly half of the time back burn. They're just under the arch.
And Stalker has been really good for the Seoul Dynasty in this tournament stage and this entire, summer showdown. He had some reasonable moments on that Dorado defense here. He's trying to step it up. Who Are You has a blade far earlier, though. That is got to be dangerous. There's no counters.
Vindave trying to escape. Has a speed boost and the support for his team to stay alive. No counters, just mechanics. able to stem that blade.
Good
It now
boots.
means that Stalker going to have their blade up. Legion does go down in the end. And so does Iziaki. No supports available. It's big for Dynasty. They should be able to push this advantage and get the payload close to point A.
That's really
They should be able
important
to
as well.
claim
You
it.
see that Seoul Dynasty, they don't use any ultimates to actually win that. When we talk about Stalkers getting the blade soon, doesn't have to use it. Take a look at Iziaki
God.
again. Is it a mistake? Oh, yep. I don't
It's
know. I
just a
think
mistake.
did he shield bashed into geometry and fell off, or he just sidestepped
No,
off?
he
It's
just
another.
walked off. He sidestepped off.
Yeah. Okay, well, it's yep. That's unfortunate, but it's the second time now Iziaki's just randomly fallen off the map. Hashtag unlucky. Hashtag it just happened. Seoul Dynasty now has hashtag 5 ultimates. The Shanghai Dragons, the ones that are behind, have to credit Seoul Dynasty for peeling flawlessly versus Huayu's place. We talked about Vindame and Prophet not having support ultimates. Well, now Huayu's actually just dead, so they are putting the lid on the hyper carry of the Shanghai Dragons and really forcing Dragons back. There's going to be more free push. Dragons need to kind of force some ultimates, but they can't start a fight because they're constantly down.
Makes it awfully difficult for them to do so. With the overclock and the high ground, this could be big if they're just able to get a few uninterrupted moments to take these shots. Stalker with some deflections. Will then rotate back round.
Dragons got to go.
Huayu's back in the fight. Stalker's down. Okay, so Stalker's been...
All right.
I'm not sure how that happened, but okay. Completely takes the wind out of Dynasty's sails, and they're going to reset instead.
Man just got overwatched. It could have been a rail into a long-range whip shot. I'm not exactly too sure. We didn't get to truly see what happened there, but hey, we said Dragons need to do something. They definitely did do something.
Who are you? Just keeps getting found out here. It's not good. It's not conducive to Dragons winning when, like you said, the hyper carry's just off the field all the
It's good
time.
play by Prophet. It's good play by Prophet to find those.
Who's contesting? Someone has to get down there. Lip can't be the one. He's got an overclock and he's being focused by a Bob. He now has the Stalker blade in front of him. Good force down, gets him out of the fight. Big anti from the Rampage. It's traded 3 for 2. Dynasty advantage. They're just taking over this map, Avril. This is a night and day performance in this series.
I mean, not only that, but that's just a complete farce of a defense from the Shanghai Dragons. They just weren't present at all. I don't know what was going on there, but they allowed the Seoul Dynasty to free push the entire way through B. Barely tried to contest anyway. I mean, they are the ones that need to start the fight. They cannot allow the Seoul Dynasty to free push all the way to the end. They contested with less than a meter left. I checked, it was like 0.86 or something like that. Shanghai Dragons actually nearly C9 the point. And now we're already on C. There's a gigantic time back available for the Seoul Dynasty cap. They can win this map. Seoul Dynasty might get the second map win ever against Shanghai Dragons so far this tournament stage.
Herculean hold required by the Shanghai Dragons. Lip creating space with the coach gun. Good sightlines to Arc Tier, Stalker, half HP. Dynamite over the top. Dot not going to find a connection. Void has to take cover right now. Dynasty are on the opposite side of where they should be to push this payload through. They switch sides once more. And making the Dragons fight for the payload.
And the blade will be there now. This is where Dragons have to pull this through. Huayu must get a successful blade. He has to be pocketed well.
Now.
Iziaki gets the multi-pack him. Here we go.
Nice, Vance Fitz. He's been the shutdown for him every time. Dragons win the fight quite decisively. They will lose Lip. The Stalker at the end. Only have to do that like 4 or 5 more times, Avril.
I don't think that many times. I think a good 3. It depends because Dragons, they can chill now because they are just defending the final push. Seoul Dynasty have to be the ones to engage. They have the Bob available. I don't think it should take Seoul Dynasty too long, but if Seoul Dynasty don't kind of push the envelope here and get things started, they might only have like 2 attempts. It's not a lot. You know, 3 minutes was good coming in. It still is reasonable, but it's also the kind of situation where I would not be surprised if Shanghai Dragons, after kind of just giving up B nonchalantly, they defend C quite well, so that could happen.
Kind of a point C team, you know? Kind of a point C team. Vindame cut off. Lip's about to get Bob online. It's going to be a big tool for them in this next fight. Going to use it on corner. Actually, that's Fitz throwing out the Bob. No, he threw out Fitz's Bob first, then Bob, then, like, yeah, where did Fitz's Bob go?
Where's Fitz's Bob in Spawn? What? Maybe he got booed? I think he got booed.
I have no idea, but it does not do them any favors in this engagement after all.
Yeah, Dudu's about right.
Yeah, the Shanghai Dragons able to just cut through the Seoul Dynasty here. 1 minute remaining. The point C team still alive. Looking at the ultimates available for what could be their final skirmish.
You gotta be concerned
Rally
now.
and Rampage.
you have to be concerned for Seoul because we're down to 1 minute. The Bob does nothing for you. The Blade could be successful. Smurf's Rampage comes up next, but Void has an earlier Rampage. There is only a rally. Stalker's Blade has a window of opportunity here with the sound barrier is not available. The rally can still counter. So if the Shanghai Dragons to use their supports to peel and boop Stalker around to prevent him from getting a good Blade, Shanghai Dragons could hold this one. This Blade, to me, is a bit of a make or break.
They've lost
Smurf's
Smurf.
dead. So Seoul have to leave.
Get out
Seoul have
now.
to retreat.
Yeah, they have to get out now, but they're being caught. Taxation. It's one of those certainties in life, Avril. 25 seconds remaining. Final offensive, they have to go as one unit. I mean, they hold them here, maybe go for a secondary backup fight. Like, maybe they can, if it's like a staggered one, they can get 2 fights out of this.
Fitz is on Tracer. Fitz on Tracer. You can't disrespect the Seoul Dynasty people are going for a spawn camp now because you are going to get back capped, so they have to be wary of that.
Yep.
Lip needs to get back on the high ground immediately. There we go. So, it's going to come down the Rampage. We still don't have a sound barrier from Legion. This is a load-bearing rally from Izayaki.
Finds free. Look at the cut down of the Seoul Dynasty. The B comes out. Stalker with the blade onto Lip. Who Are You answers back onto Profit. Stalker can't find the follow-up second. Who Are You has the advantage. Smurf goes through, finding free on the back line with the anti-heal. Stalker getting away with the skin of his life. Legion goes there to destroy him afterwards. Smurf with no HP, no support, cut off from reinforcements. Fitz is the last one alive. They are a point C team, Avril, and Shanghai Dragons to secure a spot in the finals.
24-1 is their map record. They are still not defeated in any matches. I mean, it's been 4 so far. 6-0 in the qualification stage, now 2-0 in the tournament itself. Like you said, they got to go to finals, guaranteed lock-in. They didn't get to play the finals at Kickoff Clash. They didn't get to play the finals at all. Didn't even get close. In Mid-Season Madness, now finally 3 stages deep, we are going to see the Shanghai Dragons in a minimum podium position here. And you're looking at a situation where Seoul Dynasty, the second best team here, still cannot touch the Dragons. 24-1, the map record. The only map loss was to the Philadelphia Fusion. And you start to think back. What if the Dragons did not drop that map to Philly Fusion? It could have legitimately been a flawless stage with no maps dropped. Dragons look flawless.
Fantastic performance from them, and yeah, it does make you worry a little bit. Looking at how strong Fusion looked today, and looking at how much the difference was between Dragons and Dynasty today, when you look at the entire series, do we see a different story tomorrow in the Dynasty versus Fusion matchup? Because if MN3 arrives with the power they had today, I could see it going the opposite way, and I could see Philly fans making their way to the finals.
Well, the problem is are the Dragons so far ahead that realistically it doesn't matter who faces them, it's just not going to change the difference at all. Whereas I think you look at Seoul and Philly, they're actually quite closely matched now. Two out of the last matches went to 5 maps here. Very difficult situation. Philly nearly actually reverse swept. And maybe those two teams do fight closely, but maybe those two teams are both just that far behind the Dragons right now. Currently, you have to convince me that the Dragons are not just going to 4-0 the Grand Finals. No matter who they play, whether it's Seoul or Philly, a team has to convince me that they can even take a map off a Dragon, because I think it's going to be a 4-0 Grand Finals for the Summer Showdown. But before that, let's take a look at the player of the match here, Trid. I didn't actually hear who it was, but I don't know, take a couple of guesses here. Is it Lip?
I think it's going to be Lip. And it is Lip.
Oh,
there you go. The replay tells it all. Fantastic performance. Just before we jump into Lip, though, Avril, remember the one team that did take a map off the Dragons was the Fusion. Omen of signs.
Yeah, and I'm sure the Dragons remember that fondly as well, because if it wasn't for that, they'd be completely flawless, right? So they probably have their eye on Fusion. Now, they have tried to dodge Fusion for some time. Now we'll see if they can continue doing that. Let's talk about Lip's gameplay at the moment, because we are looking at his replays here. He has been pivotal in this matchup. I think things slowed down a little bit towards Dorado because he was mostly on Ashe. I think Sojin has been more so his bread and butter this tournament stage. And the story of Lip's relationship with his ability to play Sojin is a very interesting one, because he was not that consistent in Mid-Season Madness. I think that was one of the weaknesses of Lip and the Shanghai Dragons in this previous tournament stage in MSM. But now, straight from the get-go, #1 match,
You look at the Shanghai Dragons across the board, every game they played, Lip has been a factor. MN3 actually gave a winner's interview in the Billy broadcast, and he predicted that Dragons will probably beat Seoul, and one of the reasons why is he was concerned about Lip. He's saying Lip is just too good. That's why Seoul probably will just lose to the Dragons. So even MN3, who looks like a mechanical god on the Sojin currently for the Philip Fusion, has the respect out there for Lip, who has been the key to consistency for the Shanghai Dragons, next to his dynamic partner on the Genji and Who Are You, also just carving through the competition.
Yeah, it's a terrifying Dragons lineup. Like you said, they are going to secure themselves a spot in the finals tomorrow, so there's all to look forward to when it rolls back round. But of course, that's not the end of the Overwatch League action today. Avril, of course, later this evening, we're going to have North America live from Toronto. I'm sure the fans have been enjoying that up in Canada, getting to see some live Overwatch action. That's all from me, Trid, and of course, Avril here this evening. We're going to be turning up tomorrow, bright and early, to bring you the losers final, and of course, the grand final, the Summer Showdown.